God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October 16th Town Council meeting. I'll let the municipal clerk open the meeting because I'm anxious to introduce Dawn and Suzanne Pinnell.
Okay. This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on October 25th, 2017, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 2nd, 2017. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Cirillo?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Council President McCartney?
Present. Thank you. So I said I was anxious to introduce Suzanne and Dawn Pinnell. Years ago, I wanted to say that years ago, Mickey Wagner, who also adored her son, started the West Orange Cares to donate to troops that have been deployed. Suzanne and Dawn slid right into those footsteps, created another collection community project to do the same thing. I am so proud, really, and pleased to read Suzanne's posts. Such an advocate for the town, an excellent volunteer for the Human Relations Commission, who does also adore her son, as do I. So I invited Suzanne to come and talk about the holiday collection for troops.
Thank you so much, Council President McCartney, our Township Council members, and West Orange citizens. For quite a few years, as Council President just said, I volunteered collecting donations and packing boxes for the wonderful organization West Orange Cares, which sent care packages to our military. When that group ceased their activities, I joined a friend of mine from my church who had begun collecting at holiday time for our troops. And our collaboration has been very successful, increasing the boxes sent from 30 up to over 65 and probably more this year, we're hoping. Our servicemen and women are often based around the country and indeed the world, away from their family and friends for weeks, months, and even years at a time. I never imagined when I first began volunteering years ago that I would one day be packing boxes for my own son. But this year, this will be my reality. I will say see you later to my own son next week. I'm going to be strong. And not see him in person again for almost a year. This is the sacrifice our military makes, and their families as well. And my son is just one who represents all of them who will be away from family, especially during the holiday season. Like many local young men and women who are serving in our armed forces, my son took an oath to defend and protect this country and its people, us. So the very least those of us at home can do is to stop at the supermarket, drugstore, dollar store, and pick up some of the items our local troops need or have requested. I know it is a busy time, and there's so many worthy collections for our wonderful food pantry, those in need of food or clothing, or even holiday gifts for the children. But a few packages of ramen noodles, chapstick, Tide Pods, Pop-Tarts, or even Word Search magazines, leftover Halloween candy, believe me, they love that, and any of the other listed items would be most appreciated and certainly lighten up some of those long, dark days. Cards and letters are even more popular with our troop recipients. For the past 5 years, Superintendent Rutsky has enthusiastically encouraged each of our public school teachers and their students to create cards and letters for our troops. They are beautiful, heartfelt creations, and so far, our students have contributed about 5,000 cards and letters since we first asked for participation. way more than any other district. If anyone would like to write out or create some cards or letters to help spread some cheer and give support to our military recipients, those donations are very much appreciated as well. West Orange is a good and giving community. We care and we watch out for each other. Though it seems sometimes the current atmosphere is a bit angry and contentious, at its heart, our township understands the needs of others and reaches out to help in a big way, because that's who we really are. I would be so grateful for your help to support our collection and send some goodies and goodwill to our local servicemen and women. So please contact me through Facebook Messenger, through my page, West Orange 411, West Orange, New Jersey, past and present, or through my email, which can be found on the sheet that I placed on the table. Thank you very much for listening. I so appreciate it. Thank you again, Council President McCartney, for giving me this opportunity. But most importantly, to our troops, wherever they may be, may they all come home safe, always. Thank you so much.
So Suzanne, before you said that you had contact information, but is there a day or a site or a place where people can deliver things along the way?
If you get in touch with me through the email or through the Facebook Messenger, I can give you my address for drop-off of donations, or my friend's address. She's in Roseland. And the actual boxing will be on December 6th at the First Aid Squad in Roseland. And then we will mail them out from the post office right down the street in Roseland. But we sort of outgrew the classroom in the church, and they offered us a giant room. So we're hoping that may not be big enough in the future, but for now we'll take it, and we're very appreciative.
Excellent.
And we could use volunteers on Boxing Day as well. So please get in touch with me if you'd like to help.
That's good. And we'll make it another announcement as we get closer to December 6th.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for all that you do. Next on our conference agenda is our redevelopment update. Jack, we're looking at you.
Seems to be moving along. There's about 24 units now rented in the Battery Building. The 34 units in the ROR are completed. We talked to them today about the commercial space, and he says he has 3 or 4 people, but he's not telling me who they are yet still. So it seems to be moving along pretty well.
I know a few weeks ago they had an open house. They had an open house a few weeks ago. It was a steady stream of people that came in. I know they want to have another open house.
Yeah.
And I understand from the zoning officer that we have, 40 COs, I think, pending for the building. There's a moving van there, a lot of activity.
A lot of stuff going on down there right now.
Any comments, questions? We know the pilots are not online yet. Yes. Councilman Cracovia.
Mr. Gross question.
Okay.
Yes, I'm the one that's been, I think, primarily asking the questions about this. I started asking for the pilot. This is the calculation for how much the payment in lieu of taxes on Phase 1. I started asking about it, according to my notes, at the July 17th Town Council meeting. And Mr. Gross, my notes indicate that you said at the August 7th Council meeting that the pilot would be available for the Council in early September. And then I asked you about that before the September 4th Council meeting, and you said it's not available, this being the first day of September. And then on September 25th, you told me the calculations were complete and being reviewed by the financial advisor before distribution. And now for the October 16th Council meeting, you say it has not been signed off by the Redevelopment Council as of today. I will distribute once it has been approved. I just don't see why we have to wait this long for this information, particularly when you say the calculations were complete back in September.
Well, first off, the calculations are
almost identical, if not identical, to the pro forma that I gave you earlier this year. So you have the numbers and the calculations. What we're waiting for is the actual format of the bill. It's rather involved because there's a lot of data that has to be explained on the bill. It has to be explained in a way that's understandable to the recipient as well as anyone else. And so it's really just a matter of formatting, and as soon as it's done, I will release it. As far as the numbers are concerned, I've distributed those numbers to the council, and like I said, there may be some minor variation. I think the last time I looked, they were spot on the same. Again, once I get done with the review from Redevelopment Council, there may be some tweaking of that number. I'm just still waiting for that.
And how long has the redevelopment council had this material?
Since before the last meeting.
Since before the last meeting? So they've had it for more than 2 weeks, and they still haven't delivered it? Is there a reason why they had it for 2 weeks and still haven't delivered it?
I can't tell you why they haven't finished it yet. That's a question we'd have to ask them, but I don't know the answer to that. Again, as far as the data that you're looking for on that, you have. So, there's really, the last piece of this is just putting together the formatting of it.
Okay. When do you expect to have that delivered to us?
I'm waiting for it, so it could be any day, I would hope.
Do you think it will be before the next council meeting?
I have reached out to them today. I did not get an answer back, but I hope that it will be. I want to get, quite frankly, the moment I get it, I'm going to send it out to the owners of the property so they can be ready to pay for the next quarter. So.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you.
Councilman Castellano.
Are you done, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you stated, the figures you gave us over the summer, they'll be very close, if not similar, to the figures you had
If not
already...
identical.
Yeah,
Not
that
identical.
you had already given us in the summer. Okay,
Yeah.
so then the payments will be due the next quarter, meaning fourth quarter's due now, in a couple weeks. So would that be first quarter 2019 or
Well, this year is a
fourth quarter?
conversion. I'm sorry.
No, that's
This
okay.
year is a conversion year, so that's one of the reasons that this format is particularly important to get right and understandable, because we're converting this year from taxes to tax and pilot. So what I hope that will be accomplished with this is we'll set up a format that then will carry through for the next 30 years to be able to be used. And then it will be much less complicated once we get this done. So.
And then, I don't have the document in front of me, but from memory, it starts to gradually increase upward with the revenue.
Sure.
Mhm. So, John, when you... Mayor?
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Thank you, President.
When you talk about conversion, you're talking about that they are already paying their land tax, but the land tax will become part of the pilot when the payments come in? Is that what you're talking about, a conversion?
The conversion is that they received their tax bill and the preliminary tax bill they received for 2018 that they receive in 2017 anticipated full taxes. In this year, it's not going to be full taxes. It's going to be land tax and pilot. So we have to take their payments that they applied against the tax bill and apply them against a combination of taxes and pilot. And the math is simple, but explaining in writing how we reach those different numbers and the application of that for our property owners is very important that we get that and make that as clear as possible.
Oh, Councilman Cirillo.
Yeah, on that note, so as you convert from traditional taxes to the pilot calculation, do you foresee a decrease in initially in the property taxes being paid by the development, or is it going to be an increase?
Well, by definition, there's a shift in that, and there's the total taxes is less, but the pilot is more. Right. So the total of the two for this year is going to be slightly more in 2018 than in 2017.
Okay, so we're expecting more revenue to the
Between the
township.
two, yes. The taxes and the pilot.
Okay, we just don't know what those numbers look
Oh,
like.
no, I have the numbers. I've submitted the numbers to you earlier this year, and those are the same numbers. What all this is all about is basically taking what is a somewhat complex Excel spreadsheet where you just basically see the bottom lines and put that into a format that people can go, okay, A leads to B, leads to C, D, and okay, this is what I owe, this is why I owed it. So it can be explained to the property taxpayer.
Yeah, I just thought that the level of occupancy may shift the taxation number.
It will, over time, it's going to be significantly higher.
Right.
This year, it is just slightly higher. But again, because this is a shift from taxes, this year's from taxes to taxes and pilot, it's intricate. I don't want to say it's complicated, but it's
A little bit
intricate.
more this year, and it'll keep growing in
Yes.
2019.
It's anticipation.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman?
Just a couple more questions. I'm just trying to figure this out again, what seems to me to be a delay in getting this to us. My understanding is you have been involved with multiple redevelopment projects when you were in South Orange.
Sure.
Okay. The financial advisor for redevelopment, he's also been involved with lots of pilots in his role. Same way with the redevelopment council. So, given all of that experience, why isn't this something that could be done?
Well, I really don't know what you're getting at. I mean,
I just want to see the final numbers. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I apologize.
I've stated to you that the numbers are, again, if not identical, very, very close to what I've submitted to you. I've explained to you that we're putting together a new format for a project for a property owner to explain to a property owner when we ask them for money exactly how we arrived at that, which I understand that you want to see that. But frankly, this council has already approved the pilot and the money and has seen all of the figures on that. Only thing left now is to bill the property owner. And as soon as that's done and formatted, you'll get it. So other than that, I understand that, in terms of your desire to see that, and as soon as it's done, I will. But we're moving along. It's not just this. I mean, we have other things to do. But we need to get this out. We want to get it out, and we're going to get it out to the taxpayer. We want to get it out before the end of the month. So as soon as I get it, it's going to go out in the mail.
Thank you.
Not to belabor the point, but again, these are the same figures that we received already over the summer. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm not disputing that,
Yeah.
but I will say I have looked at those. I have spent a substantial time looking at those numbers, and it's very hard for me to understand how you or whoever else helped you put together the numbers, how to get from point A to point Z. And that's why I was hoping that...
Come on in the office. I'll sit down with you
Okay.
and we'll spend time on it.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be a good
Okay.
idea.
great. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes.
Council President, I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but this is on for redevelopment and downtown redevelopment. According to the town tax base, Prism is still delinquent on their August 1st taxes. They still owe something north of $42,000. They still appear to be in violation of the redevelopment governing documents. Could you perhaps shed some light on what's going on?
I actually had a conversation with them in the beginning of the week, and we've been told that the taxes will be coming in very soon, and the issue with the document is still part with their new partner Origami. They're bringing in engineers and architects to put together their plan, and they're hoping to have that plan put together soon. But I asked them for a timeline, and they said, possibly by, the mid-November, the end of November. So that's when we should have the plan.
Do you agree with me that they are in violation of the governing documents on both the issue of currency on property
Yes.
taxes
I agree with that.
and on this? So how long, and I just want to put this in perspective, this is pretty much what happened with Phase 1, where they were continually delinquent on their property taxes. They started everything late, And it turned out that they were not able to get their financing, and we wound up wasting, I don't know, maybe 4 years, 5 years maybe, waiting for something to happen.
No.
It seems to me that we should learn a lesson from that, because it's the same people, the same company that did this to us in Phase 1. So what do you see differently happening going forward? Because that's exactly what they told us. We'll pay our taxes on time.
If we don't get something by my suggestion is if we don't get something by year end, by December, then we'll do what we have to do. But I think they have way too much money invested in this project to walk away from it, or not even to finish it. So we're going to give them a little time to put it together.
Okay. Because that's exactly what they did on Phase 1. PRISM had to walk away from Phase 1, give up everything that they invested in that, because they couldn't get the construction financing. And the new guys that came in took all of their equity. But it was after, what, maybe 4 years?
I'm not so sure that's exactly what it was, but you and I have a difference of opinion on why that happened. But that's your opinion, that's not my opinion.
Okay. And so we're going to wait,
Probably till the first of the year at least.
for them to pay their property taxes?
No, for them to show us what they're going to do in Phase 2.
Okay. So,
Property taxes, I'm assuming, will probably be in by the end of this week, hopefully.
okay. If they're not in by the end of this week, will you be issuing a notice of default?
No, we will not, but we will be pushing them to pay their taxes. You realize that there are a lot of people in town who don't pay their taxes, and we don't go out after them and say, after 30, 40, 50 days, that we're going to close your business or take your house or take your home or take your commercial business. There's a lot of commercial businesses in this town that owe us a lot more taxes than they do right now. Not that I'm going to mention any of them, but there are. So we give them the options just like we give everybody else. Can we default them? Yes. Are we going to default them at this point? No.
Okay. So you make a valid point, and I've never disagreed with the point that you make, but I don't think you've ever disagreed with the point I make, which is that none of these other property owners have a contract with us that says that they must be current on their property taxes.
That's correct.
Okay. And it also is
except for a state law. State law says you have to be current on your property taxes.
Right.
You don't need a contract for that.
So they're like everybody else, they're not paying their property taxes, but unlike everybody else, they have a contract. And the contract, if you look at it overall, the town is giving them a great deal of financial benefit through these governing documents. So we're continuing.
What financial benefit are we giving them? That redevelopment project hasn't cost this township 1 cent as of today. So tell me what financial things we're giving them.
Okay.
We're not giving them anything different than we're not giving any other taxpayer in the township.
Okay.
Same thing. Same exact thing.
In the first 7 years of the pilot on Phase 2, we will be giving up almost $8 million in future tax revenues that they would be paying, except for the fact that they have a redevelopment agreement with us, and the financial agreement gives them this pilot. So I consider
we make
that
interest on every time they don't pay their taxes. A lot of interest that they pay us. So go ahead.
Okay, I would appreciate it if you would let me finish.
Go ahead.
So that's the point I'm trying to make when you ask me what's the benefit that they're getting. They're getting huge financial benefit, and we should not be having to wait.
I disagree with that 100%.
Okay.
They're not getting a huge financial benefit. They're not getting any financial benefit. I totally disagree with that. You keep asking me that question, I totally disagree with that.
Okay. So I
Let
don't
me
want
ask you a question. If a person doesn't pay their taxes, are they getting a financial benefit from the township because they didn't pay their taxes for a year?
Mr. Sayers,
Yes or no?
Mr. Sayers, I would like to finish my line of discussion, and then you can ask me whatever
Okay.
questions you want.
Go ahead.
So you say they're in violation of the governing documents, but you may not be issuing a notice of default, according to what you're saying, until after the end of the year?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. What did you want to ask me?
My question is do you think that anyone who doesn't pay their taxes for a year is getting a financial benefit from the township? Because that's the argument you're making with PRISM.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that they have additional responsibilities under the redevelopment governing documents that obligate them to be current on their property taxes, obligate them to follow the timeline of development, and in exchange for that...
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay.
What I'm disagreeing with is you saying that they're getting a financial benefit for not paying their taxes. That's what you said. No one gets a financial benefit for not paying their taxes, because at the end, even if you're a resident, you pay us at the end of the year, you have to pay interest on the money. So you don't gain a financial benefit, the town gains the financial benefit.
Mr. Sayers, would you please let me finish
You
what I'm
told me
saying
my
before you...
question.
Please finish your sentence.
Okay.
Please finish your question.
Okay.
Because now we're just saying the same thing over and over.
I just want to make sure we're clear that you say that, from your perspective, the administration would let them violate the governing documents on the timeline of when they should start the development process with the town that was originally scheduled for September. You're going to let them as long as into next year. Is that correct?
We are going to give them time to put together their plan. Their plan, they have told us the plan is not put together yet, and they asked for an extension, and we're agreeing to that extension.
Okay. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to document their violation of the governing documents by sending them a notice of default?
Why would we need to document
Okay.
it? We don't need to
$250 million
document that.
investment.
They're over September, and they've asked us for an extension, we're giving them an extension.
Have they shown you any evidence that they have obtained their construction financing for Phase 2?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
We're way too early for that.
Yeah, way
Way too early
There's
for
no
that.
plan. How
I mean,
can you have?
yeah, they won't get that kind of financing until they actually have approvals, everything done.
So if I could, Council President, I would like to make a floor motion, and I move that the council consider a floor resolution requesting the mayor and his administration to immediately send a notice of default to PRISM for its failure to pay its August 1st property taxes on time, as called for in the redevelopment governing documents. And the notice of default should also cite a separate notice of default for failure to meet the requirements to file its initial plans with the town by September 1st.
By
Point
September
of
1st.
order, we're still in conference meeting?
We are in conference.
Okay. So at the start of the council meeting, public meeting, I'd like to make that motion, please. Thank you.
Can I say something, Council
Absolutely.
President? Are you done, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go, round and round with the same old issue over and over again. We'll do the motion and we'll move forward later, but I have to tell you, I'm really disappointed because we go through this every quarter, not every quarter, because they have paid their taxes on time. The note, the assignment was due, September 1st, so we're a little over 30 days late. And yes, you're right, we should hold them accountable and whatnot. I have no issue with that. But again, I feel like you're giving the impression that, the rest of us are all doing something wrong up here, which we are not. We gained interest, and Mr. Gross, how much have we received in penalty fees from this developer?
Well, I can't give you an exact number. I wasn't prepared for that tonight, but certainly more than, over time, way in double six figures.
Yeah, so every time they pay, we have a large audience out here, and we're getting close to election time, but they have paid their penalties, they have paid their fees, and just as Mr. Sayers has stated, we don't give out these notices to the other commercial businesses out there. And I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, I don't appreciate that you keep going through this exercise and you make the rest of us sit here like we don't know what our job and our responsibility to do. But again, I'll reflect it in my vote in the next session. Thank you, Council
Thank you.
President.
Moving on. Moving on the agenda is council liaison announcements. Councilman Castellino, do you want to continue?
Sure, why not? Sure. Let me change gears a little bit. Friends of the West Orange Library, we had our annual book fair, and thank you for all who came down and purchased books last weekend. We raised over $2,400. We had a nice little gala the Friday night on October 5th, and thank you for all the friends who came back to sign up. If you weren't able to make the event, if you could please go online to www.wopl.org and re-sign up for your yearly Friends membership. All proceeds go to helping the West Orange Public Library. See our police officers here in the audience this evening. Thank you for all your service. I just want to give a shout out to your colleagues over the fire department. They had a great Sunday, they had a great event with Prevention Week to kick that off, and a lot of good attendance from our students in town and families, so it was a fun event. I got to use the fire extinguisher. That was fun, and it was just a good day. So thank you for all of you for servicing our community and everything that all of you do. For all of you who have a four-legged friend, Saturday the Recreation Department is sponsoring Barktober, where you could bring your dog and have them participate in a Halloween parade from 9:30 to 11:30 at O'Connor Park. Later that evening, the following week on the 27th, our Recreation Department is hosting its annual Halloween Gala at 6 p.m. at Colgate Park, and the West Orange Rotary Club will be on hand to selling refreshments, so we thank them for all that they do. I think this month they were out there passing out dictionaries to our third graders again, so thank you all for their great community service. For our senior citizens, we have our annual Halloween party on Tuesday, October 30th. Any questions, please call Mrs. Duffy at 325-4105, but please come out at the Toby Cat Civic Center. And we're working with West Orange High School. On November 12th, we're going to have another teen tech session at West Orange High School between 3 and 5 on Monday, November 12th, with Share Yoga, and we'll have our Mountaineer mentors assist our residents with their cell phones, and if you have a laptop, and we also have computer terminals. So a lot of great events coming up. So, Council President, I think that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Plenty, thank you. Councilman?
Sure, that's a lot of announcements. There's nothing left.
No, there is.
Thank you for your hard work. Now, when is that tech night? November?
It's in the
Or is it
afternoon,
October?
November 12th, 3 to 5 at West Orange High School.
Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we'll have our ceremony.
Council President, not much to report. Degnan House has a meeting this upcoming Thursday. They've been off for a little while. I spoke to Debbie about the issue that keeps coming up on transportation. She's going to make sure that she's on point with respect to communication for the residents that live at 430 Main Street. So that's one item. Shredding day went well. It was really nice seeing so many people come out. A lot of documents at home that got shredded on that day. So great service. Another example of good service, quality service being extended by the municipality. And lastly, Council President, we just want to, on behalf of the Hispanic Foundation, we just want to thank the municipality and everyone that came out to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month on yesterday, Monday, October 15th. Right in front of Town Hall. So thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, very nice, Councilman. I forgot to
It
mention
was.
it.
I'm glad the rain held off.
Yes.
I have a question, though, for Councilman, well, actually two of you, because for many years I did serve on the Rent-A-House, and we had a suggestion box for the residents that don't come here or just, have suggestions to make. And I didn't know if you still have that at the Rent-A-House, and if there is one at the Degnan House, and if not, if it's something that you can initiate.
Sure. No, we intend on doing that, Council President. So-
Great.
But I'll explain that, but, okay. Thank you, Council
Okay.
President. Just for a heads up, because you do your homework, as of 2017, the penalties paid by PRISM to the Township of West Orange were $194,434.58 as of 2017. So the township did make money. Do I agree people being late with taxes? No, but the township hasn't lost any money. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Pennell, and we're proud of Dylan just as much as you're proud of him and what you do. And as we spoke, my brother was my biggest idol because he was a veteran and he served in the war. But you should be very proud of him as we're proud of him. Thank you for what you do for the veterans and the men and women who serve in our armed forces. So thank you. Another big shout out, of course, as my council colleague said, to the West Orange Fire Department for a fantastic open house. A lot of kids had fun. A lot of kids had fun spraying, the hose, knocking down fires, knocking down doors, and so I guess they got all their anxiety out at the fire department open house. And it was great to see them have the open house at fire headquarters where it belongs. So that was really, really good. Rolling right along, Council President, my colleagues, our next Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board meeting is October 24th at 7:30 at the Essex County Educational Center at Turtleback Zoo. We hope many will come out and join us. We've had a really good turnout. One of the things that we'll be doing on that night will be the final run-through for my proposed resolution, as we call the 15 points, to ask the county, first of all, to thank the county for what they've helped us with and accomplished, particularly the Alyssa Drive traffic light, but also with the reduction in speed limits throughout the town, particularly in the school zones. But we also have the 15 points that we're going to finalize to bring to the county, talking about other things that we would like to do and like their support. And so far, we've been very, very successful in our relationship with the county executive, and the county engineering department. One of the ideas we're looking at, and I spoke to Mr. Puglisi, is that, we're looking to, people are talking about sidewalks on Northfield Avenue, and that it's too dangerous of a roadway for sidewalks, but the old abandoned bridle path is a possibility to be open and redone, and use that to take residents from both sides of Northfield Avenue down to the zoo so they don't have to use their cars, and to keep them off the street. And also to do the sidewalks on Northfield Avenue, you're talking eliminating 300 trees, and I don't think we want to do that. So this would be a great thing, and I'm going to work on that with Mike Dammon-Miller and Lee Klein and Mr. Lepore, and also, of course, hopefully with the county engineering department, to see how we can move that forward with pedestrian safety. Moving right along, too, is our mobility program and a marketing program for the Main Street Road Diet, which we're not going to call the Road Diet anymore. We're going to call it the Main Street Improvement Plan. And we're waiting for the final marketing materials to be done. Thank you to the input to people, to Megan Brill at the Downtown West Orange Alliance, as we are involving our merchants, our residents, and our community, and plus the police department. That's been very helpful with our pedestrian safety program, and we can't thank the police department enough for that. So we're finishing up, it should be done within the next few weeks, the marketing program, which we're just not going to do the road plan. We're going to actually show our residents and our merchants and everyone how it's really going to work, so there's no surprises from day one. The artwork is completed. Thank you to Sangeeta Badlani and Mike Dammon-Miller and Arnold Anderson for helping us put it together. Lori Kaffner, her wording and everything. So we're putting this out. It'll be going out on Facebook postings, on handouts, and on email blasts before the Road Diet is unveiled. I just want to do another call out and basically for Council President McCartney. The Department of the Interior, the United States Department of the Interior, takes what we say in West Orange is a very, very important impact for what they call the Thomas Edison Foundation. And we were all part of this, Council President McCartney and herself, when we spoke to the Department of Interior, and of course with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, Tom Ross, at the site. They put together this document to make improvements to the site, make improvements to the national park, and to expand the exhibit space, and to do more funding to maintain the legacy of Thomas Edison and the workers who actually worked at the Thomas Edison National Park. So those are things that we're rolling through. Council President and my colleagues, Rent-A-House, getting back to Rent-A-House, of course, the renovations are completed. The residents are ecstatic about what we've done with the new slip-free flooring, the painting, the lighting. We have made Rent-A-House will now, within the next 60 days, we started 30 days ago, will be a smoke-free environment where the residents will not be allowed to smoke anywhere in the facility, not even their apartments. There'll be a special area outside to make Rent-A-House a smoke-free and healthy environment. And so we're moving along on that, Council President. Nobody mentioned it, but coming October 20th, this coming Saturday, is Barktober. You did? Okay, I'm sorry. And of course, we'll bring our dogs there, and it'll be fun. It'll be a great time. Bless you. Also, the next Downtown West Orange Alliance meeting will be October 17th here at Town Hall in the conference room at 7 p.m. We do ask you to come and share your opinions, things you think that we need to continue to do or things we need to improve on in the downtown corridor, and we just need your input. The more input we get, the more successful we've been, and our special program called Project 365, which will be a marketing tool for all the merchants in the downtown corridor to use to promote their businesses and calendars, along the Main Street corridor to all the residents in West Orange, and of course, all the residents outside the township of West Orange. So there's a lot of great things happening, a lot of great meetings that people should come to. We're looking forward to your input, particularly in pedestrian safety advisory and particularly in the West Orange Downtown Alliance. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Council President.
I wanted to say about the Barktober, even if you don't have a dog and you want to come, I understand that there are 60 dogs that are registered for this parade.
Yeah.
So,
you.
sounds fun. Councilman
If
Cirillo.
it's okay, just a quick minute. We've been talking to residents on Aspen Road in Corwell Circle. This is,
Yes.
he's asking for input, and since I yield some of my time to him, I do want to make mention that, and I'm sure this has come up at the county level with Mr. Puglisi here and yourself for your advocacy on Safer Streets, Roz. The fact that there is an issue there with the community on Aspen, and with respect to crossing that road, you have commuters that get dropped off in the evening hours, 6:30, it's pitch dark, and they have to cross Northfield, or sometimes just crossing on a vehicle from Corwell Circle into Aspen Road, or, you know, making the left turn from Northfield. It's something that we really have to look at, and I understand that as you come up the hill, you know, you have a lot of folks speeding, coming up the hill, you know, trying to catch up with the elevation. It may be an issue, but please, if that's something that we can start looking at, let's get on the horn. Let me know what I need to do
Sure.
to help you out with that. Aspen Road and Northfield Avenue.
And if I may steal a couple of seconds back.
Go, finish.
Okay. Councilman Cirillo, thank you. It is one of our 15 points. It's one of the points that came up because what we did is we polled residents throughout the township, asking them to send me an email on different things that they want us. This area has been pulled out. So this one we're working with our traffic engineers and the county engineers to see what we can do. Is a traffic light going to go there? That's not, we don't know because you can't have a traffic light every 50, feet. But a lot of these things to do, Councilman, is that it's enforcement. And we need to help our police department be able to enforce or you can have all the signs and all the lights and everything else, but without the enforcement, we can't do it. But this has been one of the call-outs for the 15 points. But thank you for bringing
Come
it
me
up.
on. Let me know what I need to do.
Absolutely, I will. I'll hold you to it. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you for that, because Aspen Road comes out frequently at the planning board also because we have asked the county for signs because people are coming up Northfield because they miss the veer off on Northfield to make a loop to get to the zoo. So they're going up Northfield, making a U-turn and coming back down. So that street, I'm glad that's on your list because that has come up before. Councilman.
Thank you, Council President. Just very briefly, today, the council received the appraisals for the 4 candidates for open space purchase over on Ridge and Prospect Roads. The 4 amount to a little less than $2.5 million, and I would assume that the Open Space Commission would want to take a look at that and perhaps give some recommendations to the council on this. But the process is finally moving forward. And one of those parcels at 27 Ridge Road, according to the appraisal, is under contract to be purchased. There aren't a whole lot of details there, but I know you had mentioned that months ago, that you had thought or you had been told, yes. So that's certainly of concern because if it's under contract, the appraisal didn't say that they knew that we knew much about the actual terms of the contract, but it's something that I think that gives added urgency to our efforts here to try to figure out what we want to do in terms of acquisition, yes.
Because I don't know the block and lot. I don't know exactly which block and lot, where that is, the one that's under contract.
Yes. That's it.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who was able to come out to the Muckers Ball, the 5th annual Friends of Thomas Edison National Historic Park. Last Saturday, it was a lovely event, though it rained all night. We had to do a lot of mopping before the dancing can begin. It really turned out to be a lovely evening. For more information about the Thomas Edison National Historic Park, please visit foedison.org for more information to support our treasure on Main Street. The only municipality in the United States that has a historic national park on their Main Street. There is the West Orange Arts Council is also having a fundraiser. It has a Hollywood theme on Friday, November 9th at 7:30 at 551 Valley Road. This is also a recognition and honor to Ken Mandel, who served as the chair of the West Orange Film Society for 12 years and is just stepping down. So, yeah. Yes, they just got married, right. And Planning Board will meet here in Council Chambers November 7th. That will be the next Planning Board meeting, 7:30 here in Council Chambers. And we talk about Main Street. There's this application there's an application on the agenda for Harrison Avenue. So, it's like shades of redevelopment. I wanted to thank Suzanne Pinnell again for coming out. Thank you for holding it all together there. Got a little welled up, all of us. Our prayers and thoughts are with you and Dylan, and just keep up your great work. Thank you. And we have a full house here with the police department, so I know that there was some mention here with the police. I'm glad you're here. You heard recognition for all the work that you do as well. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on October 25, 2017, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 2, 2017. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Cirillo?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Council President McCartney.
President.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? The council is now in their public meeting.
First up is public comment. If anyone has a comment, please, Dee. Thank you. Name and address. Not that we don't want to see you here, but it's unfortunate that you're still here.
Yes.
It is.
Sedel DeMayo, 25 Kens Terrace in West Orange. I was here 3 weeks ago regarding the Aaron's Supermarket, and I'm here again to update you on what I have found out in these 3 weeks and about another impending potential problem. We on Kens Terrace are trying to avoid a potential rat infestation. I did send emails to everyone today, but before I get to that, I just want to let you know what I have been doing. Okay. Since I was here, we opened the zoning and planning boards. No site plan application was ever filed for Aaron's. They are required by law to have a site plan application. Why does the rule of law not apply to Aaron's? Who in this town is going to make sure that Aaron's makes these appropriate site plans? We wouldn't be having the problems we are having now on Kens Terrace if they had approved plans. I don't think the town did Aaron's a favor letting them do what they did, because it's all going to come back to haunt everybody, and we are the ones now suffering the most. So I'm wondering who's going to make sure that Aaron's makes these appropriate site plans, who's going to have the pallets removed that's going to definitely be attracting the rats, who's going to have the garbage properly disposed of, the dumpsters covered. When CVS, way back in 1992, asked for a variance for a loading space, right? They were given a list of 16 findings of fact. They just wanted a simple variance, but the town, because they approached it right, the town gave demands, such as when deliveries can be made, no pallets out in the lot, and closing the dumpsters, parking lot lights. None of this has taken effect at all with Aaron's. Why is it? Like, no one is above the rule of law, not even Aaron's. Nobody here is above the rule of law. No businesses in town is above the... Why is Aaron's above the rule of law? Why is the town looking the other way? All of us on Kent's Terrace want answers. So before I get to my rat issue, someone please answer me. Why is the town looking away from this? It's all illegal. Who's taking responsibility? We want Aaron's. Aaron's are my people. I am a Jew. I shop at Aaron's. I'm a customer of Aaron's. My family are all customers of Aaron's in Queens, Casino. We have been since they opened. I love the supermarket, but I do not want rats and I do not want the problems we are now having. Who is going to follow the rule of law and have them follow the rule of law so we could all enjoy Aaron's being here? Who's going to do it? And why hasn't it been done?
Okay.
I mean, I found out things I'm sure the town knew all along.
We respond after.
Okay, okay. Now I'm just going to read the email, and you did get all the pictures.
Yes.
Okay. We are becoming increasingly alarmed about this potential rat infestation, which is coming. There's already mice. The stacked wooden pallets are going to provide perfect nesting grounds for rats and for other wildlife. The odors from their garbage, and I smell their garbage in my house. The odors from the garbage, the open lids, the large openings on two sides of the dumpsters, the standing water, the unkept property, the overgrown weeds and debris will definitely attract rats. Somebody must have seen Pix 11 News the last 2 days with that rat infestation in the Bronx and the piles of garbage. We don't want to wait for the rats to come. We want this to be stopped before the rats get here. Because once the rats are here and the baby gets bitten, it's going to get very extremely ugly. It is not a matter of if the rats are coming, it's a matter of when. The rats are coming if this stuff is not taken care of. The rats will be here. It has to be stopped, and it has to be stopped now. Not next week, not in 3 days. Those pallets have to be gone. On September 11th, Aaron's was instructed by Chief Abbott to have all the stacked pallets disposed of. As of today, October 16th, the pallets are not only still stacked up on the property, but the number of pallets has increased, and it's in 2 locations. So it's getting higher.
Your
and
time is
higher.
up.
Excuse me?
Your time is up. You get 5 minutes to
Just give me a
speak.
few more. This is like really important. We're talking about rats. Please
It's
give me
up to
2
the
minutes.
council president to make that decision.
We have you.
Yes,
We want to
Council.
hear, yes.
I would certainly be
I
in
want to
favor
hear-
of giving her more time. This is a pretty
Thank you. This is serious.
difficult subject.
We're talking about
I be here,
disease.
and I,
So that, okay, it's over a month. The pallets are still there. They got to get out of there. Aaron's is still combining the food waste garbage with the unbagged food waste garbage. They don't bag everything. They just throw it in the dumpsters. In the same dumpsters that they're throwing cardboard. We took pictures tonight. The same. Teresa DeNova and other town officials have repeatedly, including Mr. Sayers, instructed Aaron's to keep the dumpsters closed and the area clean. They are not complying. Because you know why? They don't have to comply. There are no penalties. My husband is ill. This, in addition to the noise, is a quality of life issue. My husband's life is on the line. I did ask for Aaron's to temporarily close until it is cleaned up completely. Now, I know that's not going to happen. But at least do something so we can live and avoid the rats. We don't have to go to the media. We know that you're going to help us. But why is it taking so long, and why is nobody doing anything? I met with Teresa yesterday. She said she sent in and expected they're going to get rid of the pallets. Well, the pallets have grown in height since we spoke yesterday. It's got to end. This, you
Has
know,
to end.
Aaron's is not above the law. None of us are. You're not doing Aaron's a favor.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is David DeFilippo. I'm the attorney for the PBA. I've been the attorney for the PBA for almost 19 years. I've known Mr. Sayers a long time. Mr. Cage, I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm here to express the PBA's utter frustration and lack of contract negotiations. As you may recall, the contract expired last December. We've had a couple meetings and we've got no progress whatsoever. And we're here not so, you know, obviously for our own self-interest in getting a deal done, but also for the citizens and our fellow officers and the concerns that we have. Again, I've been the attorney 19 years. It's the first time I think I've ever been to a council meeting and expressed our concerns on this. Now, I heard a couple of you council members correctly commend the officers for the work they've done in keeping the town safe. And it goes without saying that the job they do is, and they perform vital services. Further goes on, sadly, it's unfortunate, but we have a very dangerous job as well. I looked at the Uniform Crime Report for 2016, and Essex County had the highest assaults on police officers, municipal police officers in the state. It was 2,500 municipal officers were assaulted in 2016. So it's a tough job. They put, you know, you hear a phrase, and maybe it sounds trite, but they put their lives on the line. What we want is a fair deal. Now, the crime rate in West Orange, I looked at it again, and this is a nice town. It was voted the friendliest town in New Jersey, which is commendable to all of you, commendable to the citizens, commendable to the police officers. But the problem that we're running into is our numbers. The complement of officers has steadily decreased over the years. The rate of pay in comparison to the other towns, I represent a number of other local PBAs in the county, our comparison, we've gone down. And we're asked to do, when I say we, I mean I identify with them. I'm not a policeman. I couldn't do the job. But they're asked to do more with less. And to do that while the crime rate is increasing. It's a tough job. It's a tough predicament. Now, what we're asking for are fair and reasonable wages. That's all. The town has the financial means to do this. When you look at the tax rate is comprised of a number of different criteria and components. There's the county rate, there's the school rate, and there's the municipal rate. And when you look at it, the police department is a small percentage of the municipal rate. And I looked at compared to the municipal budget for 16 and 2017, your surplus balance as of December 31st increased by nearly $1 million. The point is, we can get a deal done. You have the resources to get a deal done. And all we're asking for is a fair deal. So again, I'm asking you to invest in the town, invest in the business owners and the citizens, invest in the police department. You don't want this department to become a stepping stone where guys come here for a couple years, get their training, and go on to greener pastures. You want to be able to continue to attract high quality, highly professional, efficient, and competent officers, and not only attract them, but to retain them. So again, we're here, we've got a large turnout here, and again, to express our frustration, let's get back to the table, let's hopefully get a deal done quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Althea Tweeden. I'm at 15 Edgar Road. I'm the president of the West Orange African Heritage Organization. And I'm here this evening because the West Orange African Heritage Organization is sponsoring a town hall council debate forum on October 23rd at the United Presbyterian Church, 20 Old Indian Road, for the town to get to know, if they don't know, the people who are running for council. We are hoping for a good turnout, and we hope that all the council people who are running for office will be at that meeting. I've gotten okays from everyone except one person who's running for council. The audience will provide the questions, and it should be very interesting. So I'd like for you to come out and the town to come out and to support this event. Not only are we, the West Orange African Heritage, sponsoring this debate, but we do other things in town. We tutor in 5 schools here in West Orange once a week. We've done it for almost 20 years. We celebrate Kwanzaa for the town. We have a Black History program during Black History Month. We celebrate Women's History Month as well, and also the Martin Luther King Breakfast. Our goal for next year, during my next 2 years here in office, is to have more community service and to be with other organizations to promote more community service in the town. So again, I thank you for listening. I hope you all come out, and I hope to see all the council members who are running for office on October 23rd at the Trinity Presbyterian Church here in town. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
October 23rd at 7 p.m.
Good evening, all. Cindy Matute Brown, 24 Corwell Circle. I'm coming just to raise a concern that I've heard from residents in town. I've been obviously canvassing. And I wanted to know, with respect to parking ordinances that I've heard from residents, it's a big concern, particularly in the areas of Watson, between Ridge and Chestnut, Elm Street, between Harrison and Chestnut and Mississippi, with respect to alternate street parking and the tickets that they're issued when there is no street cleaning that happens at night. It is a working class community, one who has felt quite disenfranchised, and those are their words. So I'm bringing that to your attention. I don't know how often ordinances are reviewed, or if they have not been reviewed, perhaps this is something that we can look at to help alleviate some of the financial burdens that are imposed when they receive tickets. Also, I just wanted to make a note with respect to, I have the Glamour Gals, which is a senior citizen girls advocacy group that while I started last year, I have not started up again this year because it's election season and I'm waiting until after November to start that up. But as a senior citizen advocate, I also want to lend support to the senior community of our town with respect to their desire for a senior citizen advisory board. I've heard it disappointingly too often from the dais that this is being brought up because it is election season. That's quite frankly disrespectful and certainly not the truth for those senior citizens who have challenges and issues that they want to bring to the forefront to be discarded as a political issue. This is their lived experience. Again, I've advocated for senior citizens. My first Glamour Gals chapter was found in 2012. So I'm really disappointed when I hear from the dais that it is a political issue. So I'm just here to lend my support to them as well. Mr. Cirillo, thank you for bringing up the Aspen and Corwell Circle because that is an issue. I live on Corwell Circle. It has always been an issue. And quite frankly, having a light there is probably not very safe. Maybe looking at where the transportation, where the bus stop is, and relocating that bus stop might be an alternative because it really is right at the top of the hill where it's pitch dark and you can't see anyone crossing. So that might be an alternative. And lastly, to our police officers who are here, thank you for your service. And I also want to express my support to them. I didn't see them on the agenda, so I am obviously taken aback when they all walked in here, but thank you to their attorney who's been their advocate for 19 years now. And I too want to express my support to my union brothers and sisters. It is not enough to take a picture and post it on the front page of the Chronicle to say respect our police officers because of all the work that they do. I'm sorry?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Good.
It's not enough to take a picture up and say respect our police officers for the work that they do. We need to respect them also by giving them a fair contract. So I stand in solidarity with our police officers to ask for a fair contract. Thank you.
Yes. Ladies first.
Rosary Morelli, Ralph Road. Tonight I'm going to talk about comparisons. Now, last time I was here, I spoke about a senior citizens program that was going to be held in Livingston. In fact, I sent you all an email from the town newspaper about the program which their advisory board was presenting. I attended the event. It was awesome. Livingston is fortunate they have a senior center with a large meeting room. Excuse me. It was packed wall to wall with seniors. My wild guess is there were about over 100 persons in attendance, as were the mayor, the council, the township social worker, the health director, the recreation director, and members of the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. There were some others who I assume were town employees. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the programs and services currently in place and others that the seniors would like to have. There was a lot of discussion, questions, and suggestions from the seniors. All were responded to, and follow-up was promised. It was a long meeting with dinner donated by ShopRite. Now, fast forward to today. As a member of the Essex County Senior Citizens Advisory Board, I was a participant in a special transportation summit which began at 9:30 a.m. and ended at 2 p.m. Breakfast and lunch were provided. There was a total of 125 seniors from every municipality in Essex County. West Orange had about 5 seniors in attendance. Also in attendance was our county executive, Joe DiVincenzo, Jacqueline Javor, the director of senior services, Michael Vieira, the manager of transportation, and some representatives from the transportation department. The purpose of the summit was to gather input from the seniors regarding challenges associated with the county's transportation system and to have the seniors themselves provide solutions. The attendees were split into 4 groups, with 1 board member acting as the facilitator and 1 senior to document the comments from the group members. The county executive stayed throughout the exercise and responded to what and how the solutions would be implemented. He made it clear that some solutions would be fixed with no problems, and those that require more effort and perhaps change would definitely be taken care of. Both of these experiences left me so encouraged from the commitments that were made. My observations of both were that the people responsible for the quality of life for their seniors would make those seniors feel that somebody really cared about them, and those same people would do whatever it takes to make them feel they could live out the rest of their lives content and worry-free. Now, the comparison. The West Orange mayor has continually said there will not be a senior advisory board. Seniors should form a nonprofit and people should volunteer. That is really a very, very sad commentary. It's a disgrace. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Norman Turner, 675 Mount Pleasant Avenue.
Welcome.
Let me set the record straight. The clock is off, network time 2 minutes. So the young lady who, and don't hit the clock yet, the young lady who spoke earlier when her time was cut off, from she got here until you guys cut her off, she was off by 2 minutes. Those 2 clocks don't match. Neither does this, which is perfect, because it's network time.
I know.
Okay?
We're just looking at 5 minutes here.
Well, I'm just telling you. Anyway, let me, you hit the clock before I started.
Reset the clock, please.
Seriously?
Reset the clock? Okay. The last meeting that I attended, I was here until 11:30, and I walked out very discouraged. There's a lack of civility. There's a cooperation, there's the township, you know, and you guys are the board. And God knows you sit there and you keep looking to the township for answers for everything. You don't make decisions on your own You wait for somebody to give you guidance. And Trenk is so good at it that he waits for the last minute and he says, hey, it's not me. You guys make it. And then I look at you sitting there and I go, it's like a bunch of school kids. When I ask my children, did you do your homework? And they can't give me a straight answer, I know they did nothing. And that's kind of where I got to me and I walked out. Again, you go back to the redevelopment. You had an agenda that says redevelopment. Which redevelopment? How many redevelopment in town? Can you be a little bit more specific? For me, every minute counts. I live my life by minutes. I'm an old man. So the way I look at it, every minute that went by, I can't recover it. It's a lost minute. And I would hope you guys look at things the same way. You know, I hear Joe ask a question about prison. It's been going on now for 10 years. And nobody can ever give a straight answer. I mean, you're the financial guy, you should know. It can't be that complex. It can't be that complex. It's basic math. It's the same set of math you use and pilot over the years. Why can't anyone give the next person a straight answer? What's with this town? I'm aggravated. You know, I get up out of my bed when it's cold and I come here. I expect to see something happen. And I see just junk. Help me out, man. You know, if not, I'm not going to come back. I'll be like the rest of the people in the town. Don't care. I don't want to be that person. But you're making me that person. Don't do that to me. Time is valuable. You know, you sit here and you placate these guys. They're the greatest, right? And every meeting I've come, I've not seen one person says, hey, the police officers are doing a good job. You should have said that all along, not the night they're here. If you want to give them kudos every day. But, you know, this is not how you run a town. I think everybody really needs to sit back and look at what went on this year and figure out how we can make it better. If not, my Christmas gift to this council is going to be a book on Robert's Rules. Each person who sits around the circle is going to get a book. And that's going to be your Christmas gift. Because if next year I come back and it's the same performance that I see, I'm not going to waste my time and come here. Civility must prevail. And at some point in time, you guys need to recognize that you're adults. And adults must act like adults. What do you think you're setting for an example for the young kids who watch this? No example. None whatsoever. Fortunately, the meeting was at wee hours, so kids would be sleeping. But if I had my child watching this, I'd be ashamed. And you should look at it again. If you don't believe me, go back, not the last meeting, the meeting before, and look at the performance of this council and the township, and then you say to yourself, we need to fix this. And that's all I'm asking of you. Prior to me getting sick, a couple of years ago, I asked the same thing, just some civility. And I went away. Everyone thought I just left. Go back to being civil with each other. You cannot act the way you're acting continually. This can't go on forever. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, Public Information Director for Essex County, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. I guess October 20th is going to be a great day for dog owners because we also have two canine parades and costume contests that day at our Brookdale Park Dog Park and South Mountain Dog Park. And then on Sunday the 21st, earlier this year we opened another our fourth dog park at Hilltop Reservation in North Caldwell, so that's taking place on Sunday. So dog owners can, get their money's worth out of the costumes that they create and at least hit, maybe 2 of the 4 parades that are happening that weekend. Also on October 20th is our semi-annual Computer and Electronics Recycling Day in Cedar Grove on Fairview Avenue. That's from 9 to 3. That's rain or shine, so if you have unused or unwanted or old electronics, please bring them. We dispose of them and recycle them in environmentally friendly ways. And then October 27th, this one is at our Public Works building, which is on 99 Bradford Avenue in Cedar Grove. We have a used tire collection day. That's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I know I took advantage of that a couple years ago and got rid of tires that I no longer had cars for. So that's a great event. And then finally, October 26th, that's a Friday. That's the night before. Gardens Aglow at Presby Iris Gardens. We have a number of high school students who are going to be carving or painting jack-o'-lanterns, and they're placed around the iris beds. There's also activities for kids and families, and it's a great night, free admission, and we invite everybody there. Of course, all this is on our website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org.
Thank you, Ann. What's the address of the Presby Garden?
494 Upper Mountain Avenue.
Thank you.
Sorry, 474 Upper Mountain Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions before we close public comment? Okay. Bill, any comments?
I would very much like to hear in a great detail what the administration has been doing about errands. I know that Mr. Hertz is working hard to get a new air conditioning unit that will be much quieter than the one that's keeping, I won't say torturing, but certainly keeping a lot of the residents on Ken's Terrace without adequate sleep, including babies. And but some of these other issues seem to me to be things that can be fixed post-haste, should already have been fixed. So I would very much like, I know Mr. Sayers had said at the last council meeting, he and others from the administration are over at the site just about every day, but I really would like to hear in detail about these issues, please.
Look, it's no different than any other place in town. When you get a complaint, you go up there, and I can show you pictures, just like Mrs. Mayo showed us pictures tonight of how bad it was. I can show you pictures from 2 days prior to that, how nice it was, because we went up there and said, you got to clean it up, and we took photos, and it looks different. The problem is that I think we're going to have to start working on doing some fines, because like I said, we get complaints from Mr. Mayo and other people. We go up there, we take care of it, and then the next day, the same thing is happening. Same thing with the pallets. Jimmy and I have spoken to them probably 3 or 4 times about those, and Mr. Mayo's right. They're still there, but what was explained to us was they have things that come in on pallets, and I've never counted them, so I don't know if they've increased or decreased. So when things come in on pallets, they load them into their building, and then they stack the pallets in their parking lot. But what one of the people had told us at one time was that, yeah, we stack them in and then we take some of them out. I don't know whether they're doing that or not, but I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look like they're doing that. So we're at a point now, actually we had a discussion this afternoon about starting to maybe start fining when we get there and do things. There were also some other issues that had happened with regard to their legal issues that Mr. Kaiser had discussed about people even filing complaints against them, because, like I said, there are times when we go up there and the garbage is picked up. There's other times we go up there and the garbage isn't picked up. So, if we go up there and the garbage is picked up, we can't issue you the summons. If we go up there and the garbage is on the ground and it's not being put in right, we can issue you the summons. So we had a large discussion today about that, and we're probably going to start moving in the direction of where we're going to have to start issuing summonses when we get up there. And I go by there almost every day because it's on my way into work. And like I said, in the morning, it may be fine. In the afternoon or at nighttime, it's a mess. It's unfortunate, and a lot of businesses do that, but most businesses comply with what we ask them to do. And I can tell you, as of late, over the last maybe 7 to 10 days, I'm not feeling the love, let's put it that way. So We had a discussion today. I'm going to wait for the chief who's coming back tomorrow. We're going to have another meeting tomorrow and then figure out exactly what direction we're going to go in with that.
I'm trying not to speak very much today because I got a nasty cold, but there was a comment about a site plan approval being needed. My understanding is that that's not the case. As a matter of law, it's not a decision I make, but my understanding is that they did, clarify that it was not needed. So that's number one, just to correct an error. And I've been communicating with the state with regard to the noise complaints, and they're approaching a deadline. I'm a little concerned that they're not going to meet that deadline, and when they don't, if they don't, it's like $3,000 a day fine against them. So they certainly have an incentive to get these things done. I've been trying to encourage cooperation because I think everybody agrees that good business is good government, or good government is good business. They want to make the neighbors happy, I'm sure. They should certainly want to make the neighbors happy, so they've got to step up, and that's all there is to it. I did send an email last night to Mr. Hertz. He did get back to me today and indicated he was going to, he asked for the number best to reach me. I gave him my cell phone number. He didn't get back to me. So agreeing with Mr. Sayers that, push is about to come to shove, and we're going to have to start getting aggressive, and it got to go through the court system. It means it's going to take time, but fines will be imposed. So.
Just real quick, one thing I wanted to mention, even with the pallets, there's no ordinance that says you can't put pallets in your lot. The question is there something that we can come up with that says you can't have 50 pallets, or you can't have 100 pallets, or you got to move them, they can't be in this spot, they have to be in that spot. Those are the legal issues that we've been researching since this morning. So we're going to see what options we have over the next couple of days, and then we're going to exercise some of those options.
There wasn't any discussion of the noise in Ms. DeMayo's comments. I know that Mr. Hertz has said that he is looking to acquire a much more quieter air conditioning facility, not air conditioning, more refrigeration. Is there anything new on that? I heard Mr. Kaiser say there might not meet the deadline, and I wonder if he was referring to that.
That's what I was interested in getting from him, what the status is. I had been told by Mr. Tracy that he indicated he either is going to be a swap out of motors to get quieter motors, less noisy motors. I heard that there was, he was thinking about replacing the entire system. It just needs to get done. What I encouraged him to do was to communicate with an acoustical engineer. We recommended some to him because I don't want to see this done and it not work, because then nobody's going to be happy. So my view is he needs to communicate with a qualified acoustical engineer. I've talked to one myself, and he's basically Mr. Zwirling is the noise control guru in the state of New Jersey. I encouraged him to contact him. I gave him his phone number and so forth, and where he works. I have no idea what he's done. I can't follow up more than that. So.
Okay. Just to follow up on what you said, as a matter of law, that whatever Aaron's did with the property did not require any sort of application to, I guess, the zoning board or the planning board. What specifically is the matter of law? Because we've heard comments before that there was some change in the actual footprint of the building, and I don't know whether that's a fact or not, but I'm just curious as to why it is that you're certain that it did not.
Well, it's not that I haven't done the analysis myself. I'm not certain, but I'm told that there was no construction of the nature of which would require site plan approval. So, I mean, it basically took the existing building and renovated it. I think that addition of the refrigeration equipment on the rear roof, and I've been there a bunch of times, and I've walked the Kent's neighborhood to see for myself what the problem is, but that did not require a site plan. I don't make that decision. I think they went to the planning board or the zoning board to inquire about it. I don't know, but they have lawyers. I mean, Mr. Hertz has a lawyer, so.
Sure. So were you told by Mr. Tracy, the town construction official, that they didn't have to do this? Or
I think I was told by more than one person. I honestly don't remember who specifically said it. I think there were a couple of people who said it. So. I think it was also said at the last meeting when this first came up, and I don't remember who said it then. But
okay. There was also no discussion about, from the previous council meeting when there was complaints about the noise of delivery trucks or garbage trucks early morning. Has that, as far as the administration knows, is that ceased?
There were a series of them, and Ms. Swee, who I've talked with a few times, indicated, because she had made the complaint, that there were several that were early in the morning. I want to say between October 1st and 6th or thereabouts. My understanding, talking with her yesterday, last weekend, I don't remember exactly when it was, before I got sick, that it had stopped, but there was one incident, I think she indicated she thought about 4 in the morning, but you couldn't tell where it was coming from because you couldn't see at that point where it was from. Again, part of the enforcement problem obviously is that you have to see it in order to, you have to see the violation. And I don't know what the possibilities are for example, setting up some sort of surveillance device that would monitor the situation. I've thought about that. Haven't addressed it with anybody else at this point, but obviously we're going to have to look at enforcement, stricter enforcement, and if they're not going to voluntarily take care of this, which they certainly should do as a matter of good business and good community relations, they should be friendly with their neighbors, then we'll have to get more aggressive, and none of us really look forward to that. I really think that they should, and I thought, based on my conversations with everybody and the feedback I was getting, that they were going to try to be cooperative. It makes sense. So, and I know that the rabbi of the temple, who is, I guess, close by, has been involved with all of this, and I've copied him on some things and seen his name copied on other emails. So one would hope that he's an influential person, since the community there wanted this, wants it. It's important to them. This is something where everybody's got to work together and make it happen. We don't like to rely on strict enforcement, because self-enforcement out of self-interest, enlightened self-interest, is always the best way to go. So.
Yes, and everything that I've seen in the email threads, Rabbi Zwickler and Mr. Hertz have been, very expressing accommodation and efforts, and they're making efforts, and I'm just surprised tonight that we haven't seen more progress.
Right, we need results.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I suggested is that maybe just for the sake of the neighbors, that maybe they find an alternate means of refrigeration overnight so that they could shut down that. I don't know whether that would be bringing in something alternative that would be inside, or maybe even just stop stocking whatever requires the refrigeration for a few weeks. And I'm still waiting to hear back. But
well, here again, it's their business.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not in the
totally
business.
agree.
I don't know the business. It's their business. They need to solve this problem.
Yes.
Do you want to stay on that topic?
Yeah,
Your other comments?
Yeah, if I could, has anyone from the health department gone over there to actually see if the problems in the back of the building have already produced mice, if not rat infestation? Has there been any evidence of that?
Now, the first evidence we had was when Mrs. DeMayo spoke to Teresa Denolfi.
Okay. And what are the next steps for that?
We're going to monitor.
Okay. And would monitoring mean just making visits and see if you could see rats?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I'm sure Ms. DeMayo will let us know if she can capture any evidence of that. Hopefully, it won't get to that. And that's all the questions I have now. If anybody else wanted to talk about.
Could we? I would like to just stay on this topic. If you have other questions, rather than go through your comments and then come back to it. Because I also have a question. Jack, you said that if you're going to start with levying fines, when does, we know other businesses that just pay the fine and then the mess continues. When is there a work stoppage? Is there a time, or is there any time if they don't pay the fine, or if they just pay the fine and it doesn't get cleaned up?
Look, what we try to do is we try to work with businesses and the residents, obviously. And we've tried to do that in this case.
Yes.
We've done, as I think, the meeting we had today, when we discussed certain issues, that we've bent over backwards, basically.
No,
and I think we're at a point now where enforcement, not fines, but enforcement has to start taking place. Now, as Mr. Kaiser said, with regard to the noise, that's already in place. After the 30 days, if that's not completed, the fines automatically kick in on that. That's state statute, I believe, correct? Those are $3,000 a day or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the amount is. But the other stuff with the garbage and with the pallets and things like that, and even the noise, even with the noise, we went out, we spoke to them, we tell them about it, and then all of a sudden the next day something else is happening. Same thing with the pallets, same thing with the garbage. And I can tell you, we had some complaints from Ms. DeMeo last week. Teresa went out Friday. I said, make sure you get there Friday morning, because we went out and spoke to them Thursday. And I have the pictures. They're in my office. It's clean as a pin.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, it turns into a mess again. So it's a matter of making sure, or putting them in a position to know that if they don't maintain that on a daily basis, not on a 2 or 3
That's my
day
point. That's exactly my
If it's not done on a
point.
daily basis, we're going to be out there doing what we have to do. And the question becomes, what do we do to enforce that, and how do we, what's the best way to do that, to get it done? I really do believe that the, what's his name? Is it Mr. Hertz? Hertz, is that his name?
The owner?
He really is trying to, and again, everybody says, oh, it's the employees, the guys who put the garbage out at night, I tell them not to do that. I get that, but you're responsible to supervise them, just like I'm responsible to supervise people in the town on a daily basis.
Right.
So if I don't do that, certain things aren't getting done. They need to supervise their employees, and I think that's really what the biggest issue is them supervising their employees. And then with regard to the noise obviously has gotten better, and as I said to Mr. Kaiser, there are other businesses alongside of there where people may be delivering trucks, and we're not sure whether they're coming in late at night or not. But the other issue is the pallets, and that's we're working very hard on that. We're gonna be banging them on that starting tomorrow.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Okay. Are you done with your question?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So garbage enclosure. Why, can we make that mandatory?
What's that?
They don't have a garbage enclosure there like most commercial properties do. Like when you go up to ShopRite, in their back where they, kind of camouflage all their items, and just
I'm not sure that solves the problem, but that's something we can look at.
Well, it would definitely help curb the problem, because I'm up there frequently, and
I'm there every day. Almost.
Yeah, and
Every morning.
the stacks by the end of the day, they're pretty high. Plus, also in that parking lot, there's parents. You have the dance studio right on the other side.
Yep.
And there's kids that always cut through there, and the way where they're stacked there, again, that parking's for the shopping center, but you still have kids that, parents may drop them off and go through there, like I used to do with my children back in the day. But regardless, I just don't understand the whole system there. It just seems that they could definitely do a better job and get it away from the back of the property where it bothers the residents.
The system that they have is not working. Obviously.
Absolutely not.
And it needs to change, and how that's going to change is something we're going to sit down and basically tell them how it's got to be done, or what we think has to be done.
So I went one night, it was raining, and I was out to dinner, driving by there with my husband at night. We went down Kent's Road right after the last meeting. And I couldn't hear it from the street, but I got out of the car, so I was hoping that one of you wasn't going to call on me that I was trespassing, but just to hear. And you could hear that humming. It wasn't real obnoxious like it is if you're over by the bank area, because they put that wall up now, but you could definitely still hear that humming. So,
They need somebody at the Aaron's location who's gonna manage that place and manage it well. It's a matter of, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, they need to think in terms of who their neighbors are, what they're going through, how do I fix that? How do I make it so that they're not suffering, that they're not, having a problem? And if everybody did that, we wouldn't have these problems. Obviously, some people don't. For whatever reason, they don't have somebody on site, it seems to me, who's taking that tact and being disciplined and consistent about enforcement.
Ken, thank you. And thank you for getting actively involved in this issue also, because I have been following all the emails, and the emails, it appears that they are trying to do what they can, and then it doesn't happen, which is so unfortunate, which is why I said I didn't want to see you here again, because this just seems like it has to stop. And if that's the case, but even though I even called after following the email about the garbage hauler, called him to say thank you for the efforts that.
Contact with him.
Right, and he has been doing his job, and then he also sends pictures about how they do have a cage and how they are supposed to be, where they're supposed to be putting their garbage and where they're supposed to be putting their recycling, and it's not there. So I think the recommendation to have an on-site manager, if they don't already have one, needs to be trained on what
I'm
needs to
telling you,
get
I've been
done.
doing this a long time. This is a management issue, and they need to have a manager, either someone who's going to be on site daytime and at nighttime and on the weekends, who's going to manage these things, because this has to be taken care of.
Council President?
Councilman.
Thank you. My concern is, and to answer Mrs. DeMayo's question, her concern is sometimes you have to hit them in the pocketbook. And other than fines, I mean, and like you said, Jack, it's like it's site managers, and that's important. But how much longer are we going to keep going on? I mean, if it was me, if it was I'd say, look, we're going to shut you down. I know you don't want that to happen. I know, but
you can't shut people down. You know,
I know, Mr. Kaiser, I understand what you're saying, but if you keep breaking the law, and if you keep, there has to be an end to it all, because it becomes a health hazard with rats. We don't need rats. We don't need a health issue. And I understand. I could be, like I said, Mr. Kaiser, I don't know everything about the law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an accountant. But what I'm saying is, sometimes, like they do to us, we don't get the time in our businesses. We don't get the time that this guy is getting to rectify and remediate a problem.
The private business owner can do this now. Doesn't need the law. Doesn't need any enforcement. He can do it now. So when you get involved with the law, as everybody here knows, you go through a process. And then you go to court. Everybody's got notice. You got court dates, adjournments, attorneys involved, and it takes forever. Okay? So the way to resolve this problem is for him to get this done. And he should have his business interest in getting it done. And maybe we need to meet with him and, but...
And in all respect, Mr. Kaiser, Mr. Sayers, and counsel, my colleagues, I'm just saying, I understand, it takes time. But sometimes you say you're going to finally have nice talk, yada, 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 yada. We're good to our business owners and stuff like that. But how much longer do the residents have to wait? If it has to go to, fine. Because then he's going to know it's going to cost them a lot of money. And I don't think he wants to spend a lot of money considering what he put into that building. I'm not being argumentative and I'm not being disrespectful. All I'm saying is that in our businesses, we're not given the length of time to correct any problems that we have. We never have those problems. We're never given that much time. They just come in and they'll say, you're down, you're done, shut, and that's it. So the thing about it is that I think you have to be a little bit more forceful with this business owner and get them to be respectful of our residents and respectful of the town ordinances, and whatever it takes, we have to, because talk is cheap. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'm saying what I'm seeing is between all the emails and how long this has been going on, that's not being a good neighbor. It's not. And we have to be really,
We agree,
really...
and that's why I started the conversation out telling you we had meetings today and we're going to go in a different direction. We are going to do that.
Good.
Question is, we're putting our plan
Councilman.
together, and I wanted to wait for the chief to come back tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Councilman
Thank you, Council
We'll
President.
let them know that you've been heard. They had a lengthy discussion, we want to see some fines, so maybe management can change and we can start seeing some results. All right, thank you for being here. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, Joe, back to you.
Just to follow up, because Ms. DeMayo referred to that in her comments, that this is a great addition to the community. I mean, it is a great addition to the community. If we can just get these problems worked out, I think things will move ahead much better. My impression is that Mr. Hertz is really focused on the noise, the refrigeration, and perhaps isn't focused as much as he should be on some of these other issues to consistently address them. But it's no question it's a wonderful addition to the community. We just really getting to the end of the leeway on what we can offer them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Council President. I just want to say thank you to all the police officers who came tonight. One of the things I'm very cognizant of is that you guys do an amazing job not just do an amazing job, but doing an amazing job under difficult circumstances. You have been down in your head count. I think it's 97 now, when the ordinance authorizes 117 police officers. I know we generate huge amounts of overtime, and I think sometimes we need to be concerned that you guys, and when I say guys, I'm also referring to women, the women police officers, of working or having to work too much, too often, and are not necessarily always 100% on. And I don't want anyone to be even a second or two late on making a decision or doing anything else they want to do. I hope that the council next year will actually consider starting to add back to this. It's been 97 for multiple years. I realize that the negotiations don't necessarily, the labor contract negotiations don't necessarily address that, but I think it might be time, given the situation that's been going on for some time, that we actually, the council, consider adding a few positions. And I think they make a very good argument about becoming a way station where officers come in, they get training, they get experience, and then it makes it much easier for them to go to other police departments with higher paying jobs. And so I think this is a serious situation that we as the council need to look at. I would ask Mr. Sayers for the status of the negotiations, but I think we probably would need an executive session to do that, so maybe we'll just put that on the agenda, Council President, for the next meeting, and just see where things stand. And also, it's also running into a question about budgeting, because we're all the way through the first year out of contract, and it's hard for us to set aside funds for future settlement. So it's not like we can just put aside money and then say we'll pull it out in a year or two when we make the settlement. So we certainly need to keep that in mind, because next year should be pretty difficult given the huge increase in the garbage and recycling contract. So would like to try to stay up with the status of the negotiations to see what's going. So again, thank you for your service, and thank you for doing a really good job. I want to just thank Ms. Tweeten for coming in and reminding everybody about the Town Council candidates debate on October 23rd. I appreciate Ms. Matute Brown coming in and talking about some of these issues, particularly, the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. I'm more than happy to work with my council colleagues to try to get that in a situation where you feel like you can support it. Ms. Morelli, thanks very much for your update and your incredible work at both the county and the local level for seniors, and keeping us apprised of things that we might be doing better going forward. Mr. Turner, I sincerely hope you do not stop coming to the meetings. You are an amazing, insightful resident here, and I really appreciate the time that you spend to come here and give us an outsider's perspective, and particularly one informed by a great deal of private business management. And I certainly agree with you on the issue of civility, and I know sometimes it's not civil up here, and sometimes I'm responsible for that. So I appreciate the reminder, Mr. Puglisi. Thank you very much for once again coming and letting us know what else is going on. And that's it for today.
Thank you. Councilman.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, my colleagues. To the PBA, Mr. Phil, thank you for coming here today. Nobody's more prouder than the police department than I myself, and I have to say that the police department, particularly officers J6 Marsh and Sergeant Matullo, have been so beneficial to educating my board members to traffic and crash data stats. Everybody takes data and they start throwing numbers around, and thanks to the three members who actually actively participate in my pedestrian safety advisory board, the three of them have enabled us to really fully understand the data. I've always been saying is I'd like to see our traffic bureau increase. Because as I said in this meeting, you can have all the fancy lights and signs and lights and painting and all that, but without enforcement and enforcement of the law, it doesn't matter. People still break the law. So I'd love to find funding ways to increase our department, you know, and our men and women deserve the best equipment, the best benefits and all of that, and, you know, and fair. And we need to be fair to them like we ask them to be fair to us. But I thank the members of the department, particularly for the benefit they've given to my Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board. It's been very beneficial, and we've been very successful because of their input. Ms. Tweeten, thank you for updating us on the Foundation's Town Council debate. I think everybody, every resident should make the effort to go to listen to all the candidates and listen to people and to get the full story of what's happening in our election. Mr. Tu Brown, thank you about with the bus lane and about with traffic. Ms. Sigillis has already submitted that as part of one of our 15 points. So just to bring it up, it is part of the resolution that we're asking the county to help us with the bus lanes and turnings, particularly in areas of senior housing and where senior citizens live. And Officer Jasek and Officer Smart have been very helpful in explaining to the issues with us. So thank you for bringing that up. Ms. Pirelli, you're just, you know, a vision for seniors, and hopefully someday your vision comes, you know, but at least you give us the information, and that's what's important. And it's good to get the right information, and thank you for coming. Mr. Turner, you said the best thing tonight about civility, because people have to be civil with one another. It's the most important things. You can be the smartest person, stupidest person, everything else, most concerned person, but if you're not civil with one another, then you're not doing anybody any justice. So thank you for bringing that point to, you know, making us that we have to be civil. We're all friends. We're not enemies. We're all friends at the end of the day. So we need to treat each and every one with respect. I had, just a real quick note, is I gave a presentation to the Gregory School Cub Scout Pack last week, and they asked me to talk about community service and civics. And the thing they got out of it, and they said to me, is that you taught us one thing only, is to look to your left and look to your right, respect each one, and have civil, you know, be civil with each and every, because you know what, at the end of the day, everybody depends upon everybody else. So it's important. And so I thank you for that. And Mr. Puglisi, again, you know, our thanks to the county and the county executive, and thank you for the use of a great facility at Turtleback Zoo. It is a fantastic place, the Educational Center, with all the electronics, so we're able to do presentations with the smart boards and overheads and mapping. So we thank the county for the use, which they don't charge us for, and we're able to pack the house. So again, thank you, and thank you to my council colleagues.
Thank you. Councilman Cirillo.
Thank you, Council President. It's difficult to see our law enforcement officers sit here for 2 hours, hour and a half now, right? When he talked about the smartest or the or the least smart person, I'm one of those least smart persons, all right? But you're right. You know, I was also talking to sixth graders, and I explained the same thing. Don't judge a book by its cover. You know, always get to know someone and really learn how to communicate. And maybe, and in the process, we develop better ways of communicating and being civil to each other. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time here. And I've met with you, some of you individually, and you know that not only because we're saying, but the public out there, they're really happy with the job that you're doing. Public service, next to municipal services, ranks as some of the top issues that folks are happy with. And that's a testament to your hard work. And I'm not, you know, blowing hot air. You know, the councilman spoke about how there's a need for additional police officers. Hopefully, we can identify those resources. We spoke about using a lot of overtime, right? We're using a lot of overtime. The manpower is becoming exhausted. Sometimes that may have an effect on the level of you know, the level of policing or performance. So we have to start taking into consideration, and also the fact that when we're going through a difficult economic time, you know, you guys took it on the chin, as the fire department did, and that's something we can't forget when we're up here and we're working and we're trying to consider you for you know, some a fair and reasonable contract, as your attorney presented, or your PBA representative. So again, I'm not we truly feel that way, and I hope that, that feeling resonates and it continues into budget season and also into negotiating. So you really appreciate it, and the township really appreciates your job. Every time something comes up, every time there's something in the news, the person gets caught. And I try to do my best to make sure that the public and the bad people know that you guys and ladies do a really good job in going out and making sure you chase and capture those the bad people out there. So thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. The other issue I want to touch on was the matter of. Again, I think I mentioned it, Mr. Mayo, and hopefully we'll see some progress moving forward. We'll assure that sometimes it takes a heavy hand for someone to take action. And I don't want to repeat everything that's been said. I think that our attorney put it into perspective that it's a management issue. It's a management issue. But we'll stay in touch with us, and I hope, and stay in touch with us. Yeah, it's okay, and we want to know that. We want to know that. And the other issue I want to touch on is the matter of the parking ordinances and Watson, Harrison, and Chestnut. These are areas that, as you know, they have the density is really high. We have a lot of multifamily housing units, a lot of vehicles. So we used to hear complaints about snow plowing. We used to hear complaints about street cleaning. So residents got together and they came before the council and they asked that these streets be considered for closures on certain days. So in response to that, we were able to pass those ordinances. Now, if that's not working and residents are not happy with that, then under our local ordinances, local ordinance process, they have a right to come back and petition the council to let us know that, hey, you know what, we don't have an issue anymore. We don't foresee an issue. We can flip that decision over, and perhaps that would alleviate some of their concerns. The downside when you have one-way roads is that enforcement, such as like in the supermarket, you need to enforce in order to make sure that people are paying attention and not parking on a certain side of the road when it's a street cleanup day or snow removal day. So the good thing is that there is democracy and that there is a process. If the residents are not happy, they can let us know. They can let our DPW department know. Other than that, Ms. Morelli, we really appreciate your feedback. I know what you're looking for, and I know your advocacy, and hopefully, all your vision, and we can agree on some component or some version of that vision, either soon or down the road. But yeah, it doesn't mean that our senior citizens aren't being looked after. Perhaps we could do a good job. We only control 25 cents, as you know, of our municipal tax dollar. We try to figure out how to allocate that 25 cents. These gentlemen and ladies here are asking for consideration. Our seniors are asking for additional programming, an advisory board that can also result in additional expenditures. We have parks, we have recreation, we have the fire department who also are in the middle of negotiating. We have to pick up the leaves, we have to clean up the snow, we have to fix the roads, we have to put lights, we have to address public or pedestrian issues. So it's a work in progress, and hopefully we can wholeheartedly stand by our seniors. One day we will afford everything. Optimistic, but let's keep talking during budget season, and whether we're here or not, we'll see where we can go. So, Council President, thank you very much for your time.
Councilman Cassano. Sure, thank you. To our officers, I would never sit here and placate you. I know too many of you to do that, and you know that we appreciate your service. I know you'd rather see that in a contract, and hopefully we'll have a hopefully moving forward, that will go a little bit better than some other contracts in the town lately. I know this past year, the teacher's contract was a tough one and really tore the town apart quite a bit, and I hope that doesn't go there. I'll do everything in my power that we have good communications. I would appreciate that the council would get a full update. I know I've been inquiring about both contracts for the past couple months with the mayor and Mr. Sayers, because I know last year you guys started the process. I also know quite a few of you and hear you. And so as health costs continue to rise and to be the culprit of all these contracts and negotiations, hopefully we could all put our heads together and see if we could come up with something that doesn't hurt, especially our younger officers on the bottom of the guide, because you are getting hurt. I mean, with Chapter 78 and all that has occurred, and you've been taking it on the chin with not receiving increases like you had requested. So it's a balance. It's tough. We love to put more officers on within the budget. Again, quite a few of you have sat with us on budget day when we go over every line item in every department. So there's only so much money to spread around to each department. Tonight, we have equipment that we'll be upgrading for you this evening, and I think we've been doing a great job of that, making sure we just, with 10 vehicles that we approved this past year for you. But again, it's your contract, so I appreciate your union leader coming this evening and being very respectful. I would expect nothing less from all of you here, sitting here patiently this evening to see how we would respond. And again, not going to placate. I don't think any of us will be placating for you, but hoping to find a good way to resolve a tough contract conversation that I'm sure administration is having with your union heads, who represent you very well, by the way. In regards to supporting our officers, Ms. Brown, in regards to your issues with down on Watson Avenue, in that area, I had already reached out to Chief Abbott. We get copied on emails from residents, and although we may not respond individually, we do keep abreast of the items. And so I'm hoping to have a community meeting set up that there could be conversations that our officers and the chief could have with our residents. Maybe the ordinance needs to be tweaked. But until that time, I have to support our officers. They have to go out there and enforce. I live on a street that has overnight parking. I know with a lot of units of residential properties that have maybe apartments that they shouldn't be having, or having multiple dwellings down the hill, it's tough. You have people that park right up to the stop signs. It's crazy how you could come around the corner and almost take the front of your car off. And we have to support our officers to go out and do the enforcement, because I know with my kids, they've learned if they get a parking ticket and they have to pay it, they make a bigger effort to juggle the cars into the driveway at the end of the night. So we don't want to have to keep giving our residents more fines. Sometimes you have a lot of repeat offenders, so it's really hard when you live in those areas of town. I know because I'm one of the residents there. As you come around the corner, there's been multiple incidences with accidents. So I thank our officers for, with the enforcement. You have people that block your driveway frequently. It's very frustrating. But Mr. Sayers, if you could please follow up with Chief Abbott, because I hadn't heard back. I'm not sure when they're planning a meeting, but to have the community meeting down there, that would be great.
We've already had community meetings down there. Actually polled those neighborhoods about one-way streets and everything else.
Yeah, that was a while ago, but it seems that we need a
We did something the other day where we
Okay.
suspended the parking, the alternate side of the street parking on certain streets, just as on a trial basis to see where we could get, what we're going to get. And just so you know, we suspended, alternate side parking rules were suspended for 6 months on Watchung Avenue, Whittlesey Avenue, Watson Avenue, Freeman Street, Cherry Street, Chestnut Street, and additionally on Elm Street, Kirk Street, and Maple Street, but only between Harrison Avenue and Franklin Avenue. So we're doing that on a trial basis to see how that works out. If it does work out, then we'll probably move ahead with some other places, because most of the people in the neighborhood did not want one-way streets.
No. And what about the street cleaning? Is that able to?
Well, that's going to be all put into that.
Okay, good. All right, so you'll
So that-
test it
that-
out for
that
6
took
months?
effect as of Friday.
Okay, so
That's
is
already-
Mr. Lepore taking the signs down, or what is he doing in regards to?
Oh, I don't know if he took the signs down or not, to be honest with you.
Okay,
But the people in the neighborhood were notified with a reverse 911.
okay, maybe the sign should be revised, because if there's, I don't want residents to feel that they could continue to break other ordinances on where they're not
No,
supposed to park.
everybody got a reverse 911 call.
Okay, but the signs are important, so they could see.
Yeah, I'm
that.
not sure if Mr. Lepore took the signs down, but I'll double check that. I think
Okay.
we'll wait to see how it works out first.
Okay, great, thanks.
Harrison, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it
okay.
Can you
No,
clarify
absolutely.
that between Harrison and what road?
Franklin.
Franklin and Harrison?
Yes.
Okay. So residents are asking that it be reversed from,
No, we changed
alternate
it.
side.
When we did our polling,
Right.
a lot of the people did not want to go with one-way streets.
Yeah.
So by virtue of the fact that they didn't want to go with one-way streets, there were other people saying, well, what are we going to do now? So what we did was, we're going to do this on a trial basis for 6 months and see how it works, and see if we can get emergency vehicles up and down the street and do what we have to do. So we want to make sure that we can get everything done, and if we can, then we're going to move around in the neighborhood, not just this neighborhood, but other neighborhoods in that section, and try and make it all work. So we're already working
Thank
on
you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sayers.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Mrs. Morelli, thank you for the information. We've been appreciating. You've been sending a lot of information our way. We sat down a couple weeks ago and went over a few items. Hopefully, we'll be moving forward. We are working on a grant that will hopefully resolve a lot of the issues. We are in need of how can I put it, a position that will kind of plug some of the holes that we have with our senior services. And again, budget's tight, so again, we look towards grants to see if that could be a factor. But looking forward on that, but it's a process and it's time consuming, so hopefully that will come to fruition and we could plug some of these holes in the interim. I think the staff has been very responsive. I know Mrs. Duffy, she has increased her database. We had some more programming. And again, whatever ideas that you have, just please keep sending them. We're trying to implement what we can with the budget that we have. But hopefully we'll keep working on these grants. Another grant came through today. Our grant writer is wonderful. And, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing to bring in some needed revenue so we could expand services on that level. And just one last thing, I just wanted, Suzanne had left, and I upset I didn't say it earlier, and because she's not here, I'm going to say it anyway. And I hope everyone was, we started the meeting off with Ms. Pinnell and our troops and care packages and the giving back to our troops, especially at the time of the holidays. And Ms. Pinnell and her son, they've just been such a great inspiration to the township. I can't believe it's 10 years already that her and her son came to a school board meeting and advocated for the junior ROTC program that we have up at West Orange High School. So by her advocacy and our hard work and our dedication, that program was implemented with a lot of help from a lot of people in the township. And now to continue the work and to help and think about our troops, I really have to commend her and her family. So always glad to see her, and I hope everyone could come out and help support with those packages this coming holiday season. Thank you, Council
Great,
President.
Thank you. So let me start kind of backwards, thanking Anthony for the update on the recycling. The township has mandatory recycling electronics ordinances in place, and the county provides additional dates for our residents to do that. Mr. Turner, thank you for your comments. I'm sorry to hear that you had been sick for so long. This evening is a perfect example about why, when you say that we have to look at the administration, the comment that came up about parking, or even with our police officers here, these are things that we are on the outside looking in. We didn't know about the trial that they are doing on the streets that were just mentioned. Typically, our engineer gives us a letter to explain that surveys are sent out to see what the residents in the area are looking for, and I believe it's 75% of the residents have to agree with the alternative plan. This is something different that the administration is trying, so we appreciate those efforts. But often, we need to hear from the administration on things they're doing. For the police officers here, you know, this is very effective, all of you sitting here in front of us. Mr. DiFilippo, thank you for your comments. You know, the police budget is the largest part of our municipal budget, and I feel that we have always tried to be as fair, as reasonable as we can, and again, look for that balance that we need to find for everyone in town. I would like to have the executive session, Madam Clerk, on our next agenda so that we can get the status on where we are. There is just, between the equipment that we just talked about, the grant that was on our last agenda, our officers are so highly trained. And it is unfortunate, it will be unfortunate if all of the investment that we are giving to our officers and then to turn around and go somewhere else. So that's a very effective statement and something that would definitely take into consideration investing in our police department. Sorry that you had to sit here for this long. We'll do the best we can after the executive session. Althea gave the reminder about the town council forum, and as I mentioned to the people on Ken's, it's unfortunate that you're still here and that this is taking so long. I'm hoping that tomorrow's meeting and the management plan that the administration is trying to put together will be as effective as it needs to be. I said this at our last meeting, that it was unfortunate that the way it was written, that you had to wait so many days, 25 days or whatever it was to comply with our ordinances, and that still didn't happen. So I'm hoping that the management plan can be as effective as possible. And all the emails, though they sound heartfelt, really need to be put in place. Rosary talked about the senior services and comparing Livingston to West Orange. West Orange has been providing services for our seniors for 50 years. And if it's not just transportation, health issues, recreation events, full-time health director, full complement in the health department, part-time social worker, and events coordinator, home visits, register ready. There's so many services that come out of that department. And if we need to add an educational outreach, I think that can be done. Even in collaboration with the Chamber. We just had a ribbon cutting on Friday on Pleasant Valley Way for SOSA, which they're concentrating strictly on Medicare and Medicaid for an older population, so when disabled. So something that we can work together. They can take their show on the road and do educational outreach for a population, not just that one particular. There are other people involved that could be another partnership that provides the educational outreach. That's one of the requests this evening. I think concentration is here, and the police, and hopefully matters will be resolved. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Okay. We'll review our consent agenda. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, public meeting, September 25th, 2018.
Consent.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids. Correspondence from Mayor Robert Parisi for advice and consent of the Township Council for the appointment of Karen Rochelle Mengden to the West Orange Library Board effective immediately and expiring December 31st, 2020.
Consent.
Consent, and I would like to welcome Karen, my neighbor, to the board. I think she'd be a welcome addition.
Bills, are there any questions on the bills?
Consent.
Consent.
Resolutions, are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
No,
I have a question. Can we ask a question at this point?
Questions?
Are you writing an extra resolution
I'm sorry?
on the executive session?
No, that's
Oh,
next
not
meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Next meeting.
On Resolution 225-18, this is a resolution about the lease agreement and the co-location agreement with the OmniPoint Communication. On the first page of the resolution, toward the bottom where it says, whereas CCTMO has advised that the expected rent from Sprint will be $19.50 per month. And then when you get into the exhibit, I saw a different amount. Is this included with what's already being paid?
No, this is an addition to.
This is addition to, so it would be, so this is just to approve the addition to
Yes.
what they're already paying?
That's
So it's not that they're different?
That's correct.
Okay. I know I circled it, but now I can't find it.
No, they're paying
Oh,
significantly
here it is,
more already.
26, right, so we're already paying 2,600, this is
It's
additional.
actually more than that was the base. It's escalated up to around 3,700 now.
Excellent, good.
Excuse me, I believe, I believe that this afternoon you gave me a figure of $1,950 per month.
That's the
That's what's here,
Yeah.
that's what's on our
Yes, that's correct.
resolution.
What I was talking about with the original lease is up about 3,700.
You know, we talk about taxes and revenues, and I have been in conversation with our tax assessor for a number of years, that we find out that the equipment on these poles, and because of our topography, we are very popular, but the equipment that we have is what's assessed, not the land. And that
Well,
just
there is
seems...
land, yes.
There's some, but it's not.
There is a land tax, but it's minuscule
It's
compared to the
right.
the improvements.
So we have tax assessors lobbying for that.
And not just the equipment, but actually the revenues that they generate
That they
from it
would
also
generate.
plays into it as well,
Right.
from a profit.
Oh, absolutely. All right, that was my question, just to make sure that it wasn't really different, it was a supplement. Councilman Cirillo.
Yeah, just some clarification on 22618. So that's a conveyance of title, is that what's going on here? In
It's the redevelopment side.
writing off the charges?
Yes.
Okay, what is it, just the sewer?
No, property
We own the
taxes.
property, so it's no
pay
longer,
it.
to the extent it was taxable before, now that we own the property, it's no longer
Get it off the
taxable.
books.
Yeah, right.
Okay, this is for the redevelopment at Central Avenue?
Yes.
810 Central Avenue. What's the time frame there? Do
We've
they
already
have-
bought, we own the property, it's now.
Right.
So
So the
It's
financial
no longer,
plan?
it's no longer taxable.
No, I understand on the resolution, but with respect to the development itself, is this like one of the final steps? Are we ready to start construction? Do we-
Oh, in terms of where the next step?
Yeah,
No,
for the
there's still development of the site in terms of,
Cleanup?
getting it ready, to the extent that there's any environmental issues that'll have to be addressed. So we just took possession of this property, so there's a ways to
Right,
go.
right. That's the property next door? Okay, all right. Okay, I remember that. Thank you.
Councilwoman.
No, thank you, Mr. Gross. You had answered my questions today. I just thought it'd be good for the public to be explained 23618.
Yes.
Yeah, that's,
What number did you say?
23618, resolution authorizing the competitive contracting process to hire a community traffic safety program coordinator. It's just a program that,
there's a program that was being run by the Essex County College, which they're no
over.
longer being running. So we're looking at the possibility of picking that up. It's a grant program. It's 100% financed. Right, currently it's 100% financed by the grant. So we want to look at the possibility of doing it. It's a program that provides defensive driving classes and courses to township employees, police and fire, as well as throughout the county, as well as other community programs related to traffic safety and pedestrian safety. So we're looking to, as part of this, we'd have to hire a coordinator. We're looking to do that as a consultant as opposed to an employee. So this resolution authorizes us to use competitive contracting to go out and find someone to coordinate this program, should we be successful in obtaining a grant for it. And that's we'll be moving forward, likely be moving forward on that as well.
And then I had referenced equipment upgrade for our police officer this evening, if you could just explain 235 for the their computer upgrade in their
We last bought mobile data terminals for our police department back in 2011, I believe, 2010, 2011, and they've seen the end of their life. Probably some thought they received the end of their life a few years ago, but we're now moving forward with the funds that were authorized early in the year to replace the mobile data terminals, which are basically the in-car computers that allow police officers to get real-time data and transmit their videos and things of that nature back to the department as well. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Sterling,
yes,
sorry.
Mr. Gross, I have a question on 23318, and that's the selling of excess assets, property, in this case vehicles. How do we arrive at that pricing? Is that a price that this agency comes up with, GovDeals, or is that something that we come up with? The pricing on?
No, it's actually it's a bidding process.
Okay, so are we authorizing that these vehicles go out to bid, and that's the starting bid amount? Starting bid amount. Okay, got it. Okay, very good. Right. And this is done on the internet, or is it done public? Internet, GovDeals.
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right, and you let us know how much we're able to recoup as possible. Just get a report. Because you have some good vehicles here. I know some other local government entities may benefit from that. Thank you.
Councilman.
On Resolution 225-18, the monthly fee for the sublease, was that negotiated by the town? Was the town involved with that negotiation, or was it more towards from the lessor to the sublessor?
It was a negotiation between legal and the sublease.
Okay. Were you familiar with that? I'm just wondering how they came up with the number.
No, I was not involved in the actual bidding, that process. The legal handled all that.
Okay. But just also wanted to ask a couple of questions about...
I will tell you that my experience is that's a typical price.
Okay. Yeah, I know we've done a lot of these leases, particularly when 5 or 6 years ago.
They become more competitive. Not when they first came out, some leases were this number 10, 15 years ago, but they become, because of proliferation, and they become more competitive in terms of what we're in. So this is actually, I think, a pretty good price for this time.
Okay. The Resolution 236-18, it's the authorizing the competitive contracting. I'm just trying to get an idea of sort of what's been happening now, because it looks like it's a county, it was previously a county program, and it provided services county-wide?
Yeah, it was a county, it was a program that was run by the Essex County College, not by the county, through the Essex County Police Academy. And they have opted not to renew and move forward with the program. So we're looking at investigating. All we're asking you tonight is authorization for us to go out and basically look at again, find out what it would cost us to hire a direct, a coordinator and evaluate. We will have to come back to you if we were to decide to move forward in order to award a contract. So this is just, tonight, the resolution just to authorize us to check it, basically go out and investigate who we could get, what we would get, how much it would cost us, and go from there.
So the services as they're being provided now are provided countywide?
Yes.
Okay.
They probably would continue to be provided countywide. I'm sure that the grant would require that. It's just that there are services that, number one, we think are very important. They're important to us. They're important to the entire county. And we think we may just maybe in a position to get this done without so much operation, because the program is basically done as of September 30th at the county, at the college. So it's we're kind of in limbo now. So we're trying to put this together and see if by the first of the year, hopefully, keep the program running, because it's an important program for us, for sure. And we think it's probably important. Everyone probably feels that way. So we're just in an opportunity to try to see if we can put it together. And again, we'll have to come back to you before we take any further action.
Okay. So the services that this program provides and has been providing has to do with defensive driving for police and fire. Is that?
It has a lot to do with this township. It works with the pedestrian. This program works with the Pedestrian Safety Committee. This program works with the Bedlani Foundation. The reason we're going after it is because it has a big connection to the township, and we don't want to lose it.
Okay.
And it also, part of the program is that they have the driver training simulator that allows police and firemen to work through the driver training simulators and things like that. So in order for the township to stay involved in the program, we're taking the opportunity to possibly take a look at the grant and get it done.
Okay.
It's not going to cost us any money.
Part of this would also perhaps, and this is just an objective perhaps, is to expand that for other uses. For instance, DPW and other drivers where that has not historically been done. But they're players in this big picture of emergencies too. So a lot of it focuses on driving in emergency circumstances, whether it be in chase or in flooding conditions and things of that nature. So this is really, really, I think, important. It's going to be one of the big pushes over the past year or two, and moving forward is going to be flood protection, emergency protection services. We think this would be really, really a problem for us to lose this as a resources, as well countywide. So again, we're just looking to investigate it now.
Is there some reason why the county? It seems like a logical thing for the county to be handling.
We don't know the answer to that, but we don't think that at this point we're just going to sit back and wait to see how that plays out.
Okay.
Again, if while we're going through this process,
the county steps in, we're out.
The county steps in and it goes over, then that's fine. But we're just trying to keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, because it does have a big benefit for us.
Okay. And so, if this program's been going for a while, and I assume it's been run through a grant, is there a particular foundation or a particular source of the grant that's been funding?
Grant money.
Oh, so it's federal grant.
It's federal grant.
Okay. Okay. Now, I know Mr. Anderson has been at the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, and he's been at some of the other things. Is that who we're talking about here?
Well, he's the guy who currently runs it now, but once we do the competitive contracting, it goes out for competitive contracting.
Okay.
It may not be him, but we believe it probably will be because of his experience.
Okay.
Certainly expect he'll apply.
Yeah.
Right. So he's out of work now if the program's over at September 30th, right?
That's our understanding.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
I would think.
That's our understanding.
Well,
Okay.
With this, he probably has other things he's doing.
Yeah.
But I think he does this as part of his work.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And it is my understanding that the grant covers the salary, that it really is not an expense to the
Grant covers
county.
everything.
Everything we know about the grant to date is that all of our, if we were to do this, all of our expenses would be covered. Now, obviously, that remains to be ironed out before we get to the end, before we make an award. Before we would make an award, we'd have to be granted. We'd have to get the grant.
Right.
So after that, then we could then come back to you and say, okay, we got the grant, we have the money, we found the person, here's the program, we want you to sign on it. Right now, you're only authorizing us to start the process.
Good. Any other
Everybody got my
comments?
questions.
Good.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented.
Okay, ordinances on second and final reading.
2552-18, an ordinance creating a reclassification and salary schedule of certain Township of West Orange employees, setting forth their titles, classification, and salary ranges, and adopting a salary guide and establishing the employee's status as a Township employee under the guidelines of the New Jersey Department of Personnel. Deputy Registrar / Keyboarding Clerk 3. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final
So moved.
reading?
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Public hearing?
Are there any comments from my colleagues or from the public on this ordinance? The Registrar, Deputy Registrar, Keyboarding Clerk 3. Seeing none?
Is there a motion to,
Could I just, I'm sorry,
sorry.
I get a little confused when you sort of pull together both the public hearing and our discussion, so I just wanted just...
That should be separate.
I just wanted to find out, does this affect a particular person or a particular position, or is this just a...
Yes.
Okay.
It's implement, as you recall, during the budget process, there were a number of changes that were, or increases that were authorized, or promotions. There was one in particular that something for just didn't get implemented on in the process. So it's already been approved by. It's already been approved. It's already been approved by council in the budget process. We're just implementing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. And the employee was already doing the work and...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and- right. Okay.
is there a motion to adopt 2552-18 on second and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
2553-18, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 Traffic, subsection 7-29.1, speed limits in general, and subsection 7-33, school zones of the of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Orange, Pleasant Valley Way. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. Any comment?
For the
Do you
public.
want
Do
to?
the public hearing
Public
first.
first? Seeing none? Colleagues?
This
do
is
you
just,
want to-
this is
yeah,
just,
the speed
the
limit?
evaluation of the ordinance that should have went through last time, and the county held up, but this is just redefining the speed zones on Pleasant Valley Way, particularly in the school districts.
Right.
Very good.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, not so much a comment, but just, Mr. Sayers, I don't know if you want to send an email to the superintendent, maybe, is it something that should go out for their parents to note, or it'll be taken care of with Mr. Lepore with signage, or?
I'm sure Mr. Lepore is going to handle that with the signage and stuff.
Okay.
I don't think we need to send it to Board of Ed.
I mean, there's a light there now, so they should
Yeah.
be slowing down anyway, you would
Yeah.
hope, right?
But that's a good point, because that could be a public service announcement to let everyone know
Yeah.
that that's the speed in that zone.
Just to bring it to their attention, so
Mhm.
they are aware of it.
It's all part of the pedestrian safety board, it's part of the marketing. Okay, good point.
Is there a motion to adopt 2553-18?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Ordinance 2554-18, an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Section 1.3 of the revised general ordinances, sweeping, litter, garbage, refuse, or rubbish into gutter prohibited. Is there a motion to introduce on second
So
and
moved.
final?
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. Any comments or question on this ordinance? Seeing none? Colleagues? Yes,
I have
Councilman
a question
Cirillo.
on enforcement. Council President, how would we enforce this ordinance? Basically, we're disallowing throwing debris into the system?
What this really came up from was people putting grass in the gutter and blowing it into the street, and we were getting complaints, and that was never part of the ordinance. So now that if that happens and we get complaints, we'll go out and we can summons people.
Okay, so it's just adding grass
Yeah.
to already in
But
place?
yes, and there's, obviously, if you put anything else out that you're not supposed to, leave it in the street, and someone, we go out and enforce that.
Yeah, I worry about
Stormwater.
leaves a lot of times, leaves
Yeah.
going in there.
The what?
Leaves, so if we have residents out there to see leaves.
Well,
or
leaves, you can put
landscapers-
leaves out at a certain period of time in town, and we pick them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, no, I understand that. What I'm saying, sometimes leaves make their way into the system as well because
Yeah.
of the rain and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, something to keep in mind. Sure, thank you, Council President.
But we already have the ordinances on leaves and when they can and cannot be
Right.
put in. So this is
Starting Monday, right?
amending.
Starting Monday,
I
we're
think it
picking
is
up.
Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a motion to adopt 2554-18?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
There are no ordinances on first reading. Pending matters, new matters, council discussion. Yeah, we will. Please.
You have a pending matter, Jeff? Oh, I thought you had a pending matter that you wanted to discuss.
No,
Okay.
I do want to make a note, though, to put the executive session
I
for
already
the-
have a note.
Great.
Yes, and I'll-
Okay.
actually, that would be good. Okay.
Comments?
Yes, please. I
Yes, sir.
have a few items. The first one was just a continuation from the conference agenda. I just, again, want to, in the public meeting, move that the council consider a floor resolution requesting the mayor immediately send a notice of default to PRISM for its failure to pay its August 1st property taxes on time as called for by the redevelopment governing documents. And this notice of default should also cite a separate notice of default for failure to meet the requirements to file its initial plans with the town by September 1st.
Is there a second? The motion fails.
Right.
Council President,
Yes, okay, I'm
just
going
to
to
that
comment.
note, I'm looking at the redevelopment agreement. It does call for a notice to be forwarded in cases that the redeveloper has been deficient in paying the property tax. So I would urge the administration to send notice that we're keeping an eye on that, and they've been deficient for more than 30 days.
did that
Is that a notice
I
to
called
default?
them.
It's just a notification?
I
to let
call
them
them
know.
and speak to them.
So that's the first step in the redevelopment process? So
Absolutely. They're on
please
notice. They are
forward.
definitely on notice, trust me.
Thank you. I don't think we're at the second step yet. That's my personal
No.
vote and opinion.
Excuse me, Council President?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
So when they pay their taxes, I guess they're just making a payment this week or whenever, can you send us an email so we know that they're paid? Thank you.
Yep.
ABC.
I have a couple other items that I had asked Mr. Sayers to be ready to discuss. One was what, if any, update on the I can never pronounce this. Legionellosis situation here in town.
We're in very good shape. We're doing, we're just finishing up with, as I told you at the last meeting, with I think it's Firehouse 1 and the sinks, I believe it's at O'Connor Park in the, within the building.
Yeah.
Those are the last two we're doing. Once they're done, everything else will be completed and hopefully we'll move ahead.
I had an employee who told me that one of the sort of rumors going around is that here in Town Hall, that some equipment that previously existed, like a boiler or a heater or something, had been taken out. Was that part of?
That was one of the things that came back in the original report that we changed.
Okay. So that was taken out, and then was it replaced with something that's more?
I believe, I'm not sure what it was replaced with, but Mr. Lepore handled that.
Okay. So I'll just send him an email, just ask him. Okay.
Yeah, it was replaced. What was it, a hot water heater? Yeah, it was a hot water.
And it was replaced with with the new specs? Okay. So the old one was pretty old and seemed to be more conducive to Legionella's, ancient, okay.
Old.
Okay. And so after those two, you're talking
We're good
about...
stewards of the township's taxpayer dollars.
Say that again?
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. After O'Connor Park and Firehouse 1 are finished, and you expect that to happen this week, that will be pretty much done?
We will be finished.
With
Then it
remediation?
depends on what we want to do moving forward to, stay on top of this with flushing and things like that.
Okay. And I know...
That's the best way to do it, is flushing water.
Okay. Have we gotten any further on in terms of clarity on the costs of the 3 vendors that we were using?
We haven't spent a terribly lot of money since we last had this discussion, but I think there's some on the horizon. So this is a project, you can count on this to go on another 3 or 4 months. That's my guess.
What we're doing with the last 2, that's going to be an additional cost. I think that's going to be about probably $4,000 or $5,000 to get these last 2 done. And then once that's over, we're talking about whether we're going to do maintenance on a monthly basis, a yearly basis, every 6 months. Everybody's telling us different things. You should do it every month. You should do it every 6 months. So we got to do some research and see what we're going to do.
There's still some work to be done in this building in terms of some old plumbing that has to be, eliminated.
That's correct too.
And there's, some challenges, some physical challenges that even getting to that plumbing. So there's still some work to be done. Like I said, this is going to be 3 or 4 months before.
And this is old galvanized stuff that's been around forever?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank
So
you.
let me ask,
Please.
I know I had asked this a few months back when we first talked about the Legionella, about the professional services that are coming in to remediate the sites. Are they making recommendations, since there is no standard? Are they making recommendations on how you flush the system or how frequently that has to happen?
I think it's fair to say that they've made a lot of recommendations, and
Are they consistent because they're different?
We have to determine, and because theirs are recommendations, they're ideas, because there are no standards.
Right.
Okay, so there's not like they could say, well, we recommend this because they're going to recommend these are the things you could do, and we have a menu to choose from, and it could be, we can go overboard or we can go underboard, and we have to figure out where to be in the middle.
It's like I said, you flush once a month, every 6 months, every year, and the example that he always gives is you talk to anyone and ask anyone if they've ever done this in their home, and they haven't. And he said, if you own a home that's 40 or 50 years old, I'll guarantee you that if you had it checked, it's going to come up somewhere because your pipes are old. And that's where it usually, the water comes into your system, and because the pipes are old and rotted and everything else, that's where the bacteria builds up. And that's how it happens. That's the majority that's the way it actually happens.
I'm just surprised that there isn't a state standard, because I know this year with the new licensing for schools, that was a standard for water testing that we had to do. Hundreds of dollars to have that
But it's
done.
not cheap
It's
to do
new.
that either.
No, it isn't. It was not, but it had to get done because it was state standard. So that's why I'm surprised that there isn't anything. This was for.
No,
Non-Legionella.
nothing. Nothing.
Which, Councilman?
No, which I just want to add too, I had asked the grant writer, see if anything comes up, because again, with us all through the state, because it was so an exceptionally hot August into September, and I know a lot of the schools in the state had a lot of really bad mold issues. And so you would hope there would be something environmentally for us that we could apply for to help us out. But my next question is, once again, obviously there was reference earlier in the meeting with our surplus. Obviously, this will dig into it a bit. What's your total at now?
We as you know, we have surplus that we generate every year, and we allocate that surplus, the lion's share of it, to the budget. So it's not like, while we may generate surplus,
Sure.
It's not like we have surplus to spend.
Plus that surplus he discussed was 216 to 217. That's already done.
Yeah, we already moved
That's gone.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, storm related.
Yep.
I just wanted to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Councilwoman.
No, that's my question. I'm done, thank you.
Okay. I just also asked to see if there was an update on the Essex Green Executive Drive redevelopment.
They're actually going before the board Thursday night,
Okay.
I believe.
Oh, Thursday
I
night.
think it's Thursday night. So they will, their application's been submitted, and they're going before the board on Thursday.
Okay. I think the last time I spoke, I thought the answer about where the redevelopment plans for the other areas are, where they stand. I'm assuming, do I assume correctly, that since Essex Green has, from what I can tell, abandoned redevelopment and just gone straight to the planning board with their application, that there won't be a redevelopment plan done for Essex Green? So that would be a cost that we wouldn't have to incur?
I'm not sure of that, because I'd have to speak to legal on that, to be quite honest with you. And again, it's not a question, and you and I disagree on this part, it's not a question of them abandoning redevelopment. Part of the reason that they were part of that is because they wanted to expand the use of what they were using in their area, because they wanted to bring in different stores and add more stores. So the bottom line is, I don't believe there's going to be, don't hold me to this, I'll check with legal, but I do not believe that there will be a plan with regard to Essex Green. They're going to submit a plan based on what they're doing, which is now going before the board.
They've already submitted
Right, so that's their plan. So I don't think there's anything that will be there. The rest of it will be with Executive Drive moving back. What's that? Yeah, I'm not, it's possible, but it depends. John just made a good point. If there's certain areas that they don't develop, that could be possible, but I'm not so sure that that's going to happen.
Okay, but at this point, if they did move forward with the process of redevelopment, they would have to have a redevelopment plan before they could move forward any further. That's why I thought they had basically abandoned it, because they didn't wait for the redevelopment plan, they just filed with...
Depends on, again, I haven't seen the plan they've submitted to the zoning board, so I don't know what's in that plan, or if they have their whole area in there or a piece of their area, which is the point that John's making. I'm not sure if it's the whole area or just a part of the area. So I'd have to look at that.
Any financial agreement would have to be in place before they start construction.
Right.
Not before they plan, but before they start construction.
That's correct.
Oh, certainly, certainly. And on Executive Drive, we have the redevelopment plan that's been approved for 300 Executive Drive. There's, a substantial portion of the rest of that site. Where does that stand in terms of redevelopment plans?
I'm not sure. I checked with the board today, and they haven't submitted anything yet, but they're basically right now revising that one building for now. And they still have the other two buildings. And what's the other? What's on the right
It's
of
200 and 100 and...
Not Executive Drive. What's?
Office Park?
Yeah, I forget the
I
address.
can't remember.
Behind the hotel.
Yeah, where
Rodney,
Yeah.
Rooney's.
Rooney.
Rooney Circle.
I like Rodney better.
Yeah, Rooney Circle and
It's only 5 acres,
Executive
yeah.
Drive is all.
Yeah.
They
I'm
own-
sorry. First
They
thing
own
came to my
Rooney
mind.
Circle, Rooney Circle, and the rest of Executive.
Right.
Yeah.
Rooney Circle's only 5 acres. then.
Yeah. So there have been no plans submitted for that yet.
Right. I just don't want to get confused about the terminology. There was a redevelopment plan that was done for 300 Executive Drive that came to the council. Council majority approved that. So, but what Essex Green did was they just filed a plan with the planning board. So I didn't want to get the word plan mixed up between the two. What I'm trying to find out is what's the status of redevelopment plans for the balance of Executive Drive.
I'm explaining that to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The redevelopment plan was for Essex Green and all those properties. When you approved the first redevelopment plan that went before the planning board, it was for all those properties. It was for Essex Green.
That's 70 acres.
Area needed redevelopment.
Yeah, an area needed redevelopment.
Yeah, not this one.
Right, it was for all those properties. So now Essex Green is doing something on their own. 300 Executive Drive is now doing a renovation on one of their buildings under the redevelopment plan. Those other properties are still in the redevelopment zone.
They're still in the redevelopment zone,
But
but...
there's no plan.
Right, I understand. But before there's a plan, there has to be a planner that we've already hired, who actually goes out and drafts the plan and then goes through the planning board and to the town council. I'm just asking you, the last time we talked, my recollection is that the town planner was not doing, not the town planner, the designated planner was not doing any more redevelopment plans for Executive Drive. And now what I'm asking is, has that changed, or are they still not doing it?
No, that hasn't, as far as I know, it hasn't changed. I did check with legal. I don't know if they're putting something together. As far as I know, I don't believe they are.
They have been authorized to move forward.
Yes?
They've been authorized to move forward, so it's, and legal has been handling this, so I think what Jack is saying is that we're not aware, and I'm not aware, that they have been given the go-ahead to move forward, but we don't know. We have to check with legal.
Okay, could you check with that and send an email, so that we don't have to wait until the next council meeting to find out? Could you just send? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Part of the reason I ask is because at the mayoral forum the other night, I thought I heard Mayor Parisi say something about Executive Drive and a public purpose, and that's what made me think that maybe something had moved forward on Executive Drive.
Not as of yet. But that is
That's the purpose.
something that we would discuss with them, is to try to get a public purpose out of something.
Okay.
A major reason for the area needed redevelopment, designating it.
Okay, so just to clarify, I know we spent a lot of money on design for a moving the public works there. I thought that was to Essex Green property.
No, that's to.
It was either or, actually.
It could have been either or, yeah.
It could be either or. So,
We also looked at Rooney Circle.
We didn't feel that the Essex Green property was as conducive as the other properties.
okay,
And that's where I was talking about they possibly may not, that in the future, they're not, I don't believe they're contemplating right now doing any development there along that strip that's Essex Green property. So that may someday come up for a question of redevelopment. And then
That's
also
the piece right across the street from ShopRite.
right. So right now, there's still a thought on the township's part that there may be a public purpose in that redevelopment area for Executive Drive, and it may be the Public Works facility, complex, whatever you want to call it.
Thought, but nothing
Okay.
concrete.
Okay, and so I don't know what the exact cost is of the design that we've already done. So those design documents or drawings that were drawn up, they would still apply to Executive Drive, or would you have to draw?
Concept plans. They're not nothing in any great detail. Yes, in terms of looking at, could it be done? You know, so those were that level of detail. So that they still apply, but that they're not. That's just to determine whether or not conceptually could we shoehorn our needs into those spaces that we were looking at. That's really the purpose of that.
Okay. And still, potentially, we might be able to do that in Executive Drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have. Anybody else?
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so we have an ABC hearing.
Make a motion to...
Yes, excuse me, thank you.
Make a motion
Thank you.
to...
Second.
Adjourn
Adjourn
the
the town council
Wait,
meeting.
wait.
So sorry.
This is going to be at the
Yeah.
meeting. So
Okay,
can't-
we have a bid opening for
Oh.
the
Oh,
new hotel ABC
how many
license.
responses?
Yes, how many? One.
One.
Yes.
Let's see what let's see what the bid is.
Does somebody may want to, Mr. Kaiser, maybe you want to explain to everybody what we're actually doing now to...
I think I did it. I think everybody understands.
We do, but I'm not sure everybody in the audience.
Drum roll, please.
We actually discussed this, I believe, at
Ad
a
nauseam.
meeting, but in any event, this is for a bid for a new hotel license, Cambria Suites. It's a different kind of liquor license, a different way of issuing a liquor license, and it only applies to hotels or motels that have at least 100 rooms or more than 100 rooms. This one is going to have that. We went through an advertising process. We advertised on 2 separate occasions, a week apart, back in September, if I recall correctly. Might have been late August and September, but in any event, we did the advertisements in accordance with the requirements that were given to us by law and by the ABC Commission in Trenton. And last week, Karen received the application and so forth. That was opened. There was one, as we expected, there would be one bidder. They appear to qualify. Their application, if we go forward with this, based on the bid that's being opened tonight, would go to the police department for investigation. And then there would be an award or not an award. It's really up to you folks. But
And the winner is? No.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure you're ready.
So the money for this bid is for the license that the town actually receives. So in other words, the town or the ABC board will be giving out a license, and the money that's being proposed here in this bid is money that the town would get and add to our general budget. And we tried to maximize it.
Right.
You ready?
Yes. Okay, so it says, "Dear Ms. Carnival, on behalf of my client, Sun Development and Management Corporation, I hereby submit a bid for the new hotel ABC license to be issued by the Township of West Orange in the amount of $50,000.
Yeah.
This bid is being submitted pursuant to that certain advertisement from the Township of West Orange attached here too. Please take note that a separate envelope containing a copy of the 12-page ABC retail license application form together with the certification referenced in paragraph E of the notice is being submitted simultaneously herewith."
While your water glass.
Now, actually, I make a motion, we accept them.
Quick, before they change their mind.
Yeah, hurry up before they change their mind.
I think that we could do a resolution and put it on for the next meeting.
Sure.
But I assume that everybody wants to do this. I mean, we could give it away.
Well, that's why we did it.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
Right.
I was right, wasn't I?
We kept pushing, we kept pushing.
Okay, so now we can make a motion to adjourn. as
Okay, we make a motion to adjourn as the town council and reconvene as the
So moved.
ABC board.
Okay.